Hi there, folks. Hi there. Welcome to my live stream. My name is Jim, and I used to be a type 2 diabetic. And I say that I used to be a type 2 diabetic very, very, very intentionally. I used to be a type 2 diabetic. I am not anymore. I'm not a type 2 diabetic anymore. So stick around and listen to the live stream here. Wow, it's been pretty quiet today. Hi there, folks. Welcome to my live stream. My name is Jim, and I used to be a type 2 diabetic. And I say that I used to be a type 2 diabetic very, very, very intentionally. I have reversed my type 2 diabetes. I'm in remission from my type 2 diabetes. I don't take medication for my type 2 diabetes anymore. That's because my doctor told me that I didn't have to. She didn't think that I had type 2 diabetes anymore. So, if that is something that sounds interesting to you, as in you have diabetes, maybe you've got type 2. If you would like to say, I used to have type 2 diabetes, then stick around for this live stream. And I tell you everything that I do to achieve that. So stick around for this live stream. Furthermore, if that's something that maybe you know somebody who is type 2 diabetic, right? Maybe you're perfectly healthy, but you know somebody who is diabetic, share this live stream with them and let's get them involved in the conversation and hopefully help them as well. So, yeah, absolutely. So, and we're going to dive into that, all of that throughout this live stream. So, let me do another round of introductions for those that are just now kind of joining in. Welcome to my live stream. My name is Jim, and I used to be a type 2 diabetic. And I absolutely love saying I used to be a type 2 diabetic. I used to be. I don't have it anymore. I have reversed my diabetes. There's a Dr. Jason Fung. He's a nephrologist from Toronto, Canada. Dr. Jason Fung says that this is a completely reversible disease. It is not chronic. It is not progressive. It is completely reversible. I'm in remission from it. The NIH, I found an article on NIH. Love them or hate them, but Dr. Fauci used to be in charge of the NIH. It's an official website of the United States government, nih.gov, PubMed. I found an article that suggests that type 2 diabetes remission can be achieved oftentimes through weight loss. And then finally, my doctor, my endocrinologist, said that I didn't need medications anymore. She didn't think that I had type 2 diabetes anymore. So however you want to word it, I don't have it anymore. And what's up, Ron? How are you, brother? So many people, Ron Davis in here. What's up, brother? So many people are now being able to say the exact same thing. I used to be a type 2 diabetic. And so if that is something that's interesting to you, if you would like to be able to say, I used to be a type 2 diabetic, then stick around for this live stream. And I'm going to tell you every single thing that I do throughout the day to achieve that. So, and then furthermore, if that is something that you think that a friend or a family member, somebody you know, and that they could benefit from this, then share this live stream with them and let's help get them healthy just the same, guys. It's so easy. It's so easy. Why did we not have diabetes? Here's the thought-provoking thing for the day, right? Why was diabetes not as prominent 50 years ago? Right? Type 2 diabetes, type 2. Why was it not as prominent 50 years ago? 50 years ago, were we as a population, were we as obese as we are today? Why? What's the difference? What is happening to us? Why are we so much more obese today than we were 50 years ago? These are good questions, right? Questions that should be asked. Man, I am like right up in the camera, aren't I? I apologize. It looks like big zoom in on my head, right on my face. Is this better? Does it feel like I'm right all up in you? Okay. Folks, welcome to my live stream. Let me do another round of introductions and then we'll dive right into this. Welcome to my live stream. My name is Jim and I used to be a diabetic. And I absolutely love saying I used to be a diabetic because I used to be a diabetic. I don't have it anymore. And I don't know how to word it other than exactly that. I don't have it anymore. I'm not a diabetic anymore. In this live stream, I'm going to tell you everything thing that I do to achieve that. I have reversed it. I'm in remission. I had an A1C of 12.2% A1C. I don't know if your A1C was that high or is that high, but I was at 12.2. I'm now it is Ro. This is live. Did you get a notification, Ro? I'm curious if you got a notification. Struggling getting the head count. I'm feeling like TikTok is not putting this out to the For You pages. I didn't think so. That's interesting. Okay, so folks, if that sounds interesting, then stick around for this live stream, and I'm going to tell you every single thing that I do to achieve that. Furthermore, if that is something that you think that somebody you know or care about could benefit from, then share this live stream with them. Okay, share this live stream with them, and let's help get them healthy just the same. I see Ron is in here, Ro is in here, Tanya is in here. Guys, these are people that have had amazing results from this exact protocol. They came across my live stream or somebody else's live stream and just had an amazing result on this protocol. So it's simple, it's effective, and it's all natural. We're talking about food. The foods that you eat. I asked the question a moment ago, what's the difference between us now and 50 years ago as far as diabetes? Diabetes is on the rise. Why? Why is diabetes on the rise? Why is obesity on the rise? There's a question for you. I see Lopez Vasquez. And by the way, we are live on 9 different platforms right now. So TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. So if you are on one of those platforms, I will share these comments as best I can. This is Lopez from TikTok. Says, hello, my A1C has been at 14.9, down to 5.2, and 14.2 down to 5.5. Now I'm off insulin. Lopez, that's incredible. Are you on any medications anymore? To the people who is live here, he is telling the truth. I experience it. Money worth. Adam, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I really, really, really appreciate that. That is awesome. And I know you've been on my live streams before, Adam. Thank you very much for the kind words. Those are very kind words. Lopez is no more medications. That is incredible. That's what we're trying to get to, right? We're trying to get to that no more meds. In fact, if you are listening to me and you are medicated and you dream of the day that you are no longer medicated, would you let's type the word dream, right? Let's type the word dream. Okay. If you want to be at a place in your life when you don't need all those medications, you just want to get back to the healthy you from years past. Okay. If that is a dream of yours, there might be hope. Okay. And so stick around for this live stream. Lopez, love it, man. It sounds like you're already there, but I love it. But thank you for throwing that out there. Okay. Also, looks like we've got followers on Twitch right now. Twitch, I can put your comment up here as well. YouTube, all of those. We can throw those comments up here. X-Spy says dream. Okay. So what did I do to, and by the way, guys, this is a very, very interactive live stream. So please interact with me along the way. So if there is a question that pops into your mind, don't hesitate to ask it. Put it in the comment section. There are a ton of people here who want to see the same thing. They just want to see you get healthy. This is an amazing community. You saw Ron and Ro and Tanya is in here. I believe I saw Tanya. Tanya has had amazing results on this. Okay. Enough babbling. What did I do to reverse my type 2 diabetes? Well, I started focusing on the root cause of type 2 diabetes, which is insulin resistance. This image behind me. I am scared to have high A1C a lot. I changed a lot on what I eat and drink. That makes perfect sense. Lopez, I'm going to dive into that a lot because truthfully, type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle disease. It's what it is. And I want to actually even let's take the word disease off of it. Let me dive into this a little bit. What if we started calling it a symptom? What if we started calling it a symptom? That is something crazy, right? Ron, my girlfriend before taking this system, high blood sugar was 193 after 8 weeks. High is at 130. That's beautiful, Ron. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Started focusing on the root cause of type 2 diabetes, which is insulin resistance. So that's what we're going to be talking about today is insulin resistance. What is insulin resistance? Well, insulin resistance is a condition. Let's start with what is insulin. How many people? We got a number of people on TikTok. We got a number of people on all these other major social media platforms. Who has heard the term insulin resistance? And I'm trying to get a little bit of interaction with you here. Interact with me, okay? This can't be just a silent live stream. Let's get some interaction here between the two of us. Who has heard the term insulin resistance? Maybe the better one is if you have not heard of it, type no. Type the word no if you've never heard of the term insulin resistance. If you are sick, you want to become familiar with insulin resistance. Now, insulin resistance. What is insulin resistance? What is insulin? Let's start with that. When you consume Selena says, I have. Thank you, Selena. When you consume a carbohydrate, that's something like a piece of bread, right? That's the easiest thing to pick on is a carbohydrate is a piece of bread. We have a lot of bread. Our body converts that carbohydrate to glucose, and the glucose goes out to our bloodstream, and that's what our cells use for energy. Now, the cell doesn't just accept the glucose. The cell is locked. Okay, it needs a key, and the key is insulin. So our pancreas secretes a hormone. The most active hormone in your body, by the way, is insulin. It secretes a hormone called insulin. And one of the jobs of that hormone is to act as a gatekeeper or a key. It kind of unlocks the cell for the glucose to go in. Now, when the cell stops responding to the insulin, that is insulin resistance. And what happens next? Well, if the glucose isn't going where it's supposed to go, the glucose levels just rise. And if the glucose level rise, well, what tells the pancreas to secrete insulin? Blood sugar, glucose. So the pancreas starts secreting more and more and more insulin. And so while we have these climbing blood sugar levels, right? Elevated glucose, hyperglycemia, well, we're also becoming more and more and more hyperglycemic or hyperinsulinemic. Elevated insulin, hyperinsulinemia. Now, hyperinsulinemia is what's causing, interestingly enough, the insulin resistance, right? So the cell is no longer responding to the insulin because we are hyperinsulinemic. We are effectively bathing the cell in insulin. So if you would like to become more insulin sensitive, if you'd like to reverse that insulin resistance, well, stop being hyperinsulinemic. That's what this conversation is going to be about, is lowering the insulin levels in our bloodstream. And as a result, when you become more insulin sensitive, guess what that will do to your blood sugar? It will help lower your blood sugar as well. Now, if this sounds like, hey, I'm a type 2 diabetic who is insulin dependent, this conversation doesn't apply to me because I'm type 2 and I don't make insulin anymore. Well, there is a problem, right? What if you did? What if you just had fatty pancreas and it was blocking your beta cell pores? Dr. Jason Fung would suggest that if you're type 2, you're always producing insulin. You probably just have fatty pancreas. Okay. So this conversation, let's dive into this. Well, I've talked about what is insulin resistance, what causes it is hyperinsulinemia. There's some other things, high stress, lack of sleep, some things like that. But you cannot have insulin resistance without having hyperinsulinemia. So they kind of go one and one there. Now, with that in mind, I've talked about insulin resistance causing type 2 diabetes. Did you know that it causes just about everything else in your life that's non-transmissible? As in, if you can think of a condition that is something that's not a cold, not a flu, right? Everything else. Dr. Ben Bikman, and I'll talk about Ben Bikman here shortly, Dr. Ben Bikman would suggest that pretty much everything out there is due in part to insulin resistance. So if that's the case, this image behind me that you're seeing that's probably somewhat distracting, right? That image behind me is depicting insulin resistance as the root cause for all of those conditions. So again, I'm going to ask for some participation here, and I see Lopez threw out a comment here. I was told my body was going to live off insulin, and now I'm off insulin. You were told that you were insulin dependent, and now you don't need any. That's an amazing change, right? You just became more insulin sensitive. That's what it was. Now, and I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Lopez. Okay, so this image behind me is illustrating insulin resistance as the root cause for all of these other problems. And I'll get to where I got the image, by the way. I didn't make the image. Actually, I got the image from one of the world's leading metabolic scientists. I'll show you where the image came from in just a moment. But I want to use the image here for a moment. If I name something off, I'm at risk of diabetes. Lupe says, I'm at risk of diabetes. I have skin tags. Yes, that's a great comment here, Lupe. I'm going to name off these conditions. If I name off a condition that applies to you or somebody that you know, do me a favor and type the word me in the comment section, okay? And a perfect example would be what Lupe just said. I'm at risk of diabetes. I have skin tags. Well, if I say the word skin tags, do me a favor and type the word me, okay? So I'm going to name off some conditions. And if I name it off, type the word me. If it applies to you or somebody that you know, okay? And I'm going to start at the 12 o'clock here, stroke. Does stroke apply to you or somebody that you know? And if so, type the word me. Lisa Marie from Facebook says me. Thank you, Lisa. By the way, hi on the Facebook side of things. Lisa's watching us from Facebook. How about heart disease? Anybody listening to me suffer from heart disease? How about obesity? 74% of the United States is either obese or overweight. There should be at least a few people typing me. Joseph says me. Joseph from TikTok. Lisa from Facebook says me. Ro, S-I-K. What is S-I-K, Ro? Lupe says, I need to lose weight. So Lupe says obesity, right? How about migraine headaches? And you can't see it, but that's this one over here. Migraine headaches. How many people listening to me suffer from migraine headaches? How about dementia? Now, I say if it applies to you or somebody that you know, dementia is a perfect example. I doubt if there's anybody listening. Oh, someone I know. Okay, someone I know. S-I-K. Me. So, Ro, let's see. Selena says me. Healthy Jenny. How are you, Healthy Jenny? I love the name, Healthy Jenny. Me. Migraine headaches. Early indicator of insulin resistance, by the way. How about dementia? And I already named dementia. Does anybody you know have dementia? How about osteoarthritis? If you have osteoarthritis, type the word me. How about childhood obesity or polycystic ovarian syndrome? Down at the bottom, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Number one cause for infertility amongst women in the United States is PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So do you know any women who are infertile? How about that? How about fatty liver? That's this one down here. Liver cirrhosis of the liver is a top 10 cause of death in the United States. At the top of that list, Selena says me. Healthy Jenny, you have PCOS. Okay. Lupe has fatty liver. So at the top of the list of liver disease is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease caused by insulin resistance. Brubaker says me. Okay, how about arthritis or Alzheimer's disease? Okay, Alzheimer's, arthritis. Arthritis is oftentimes referred to as type 3 diabetes. Let's talk about diabetes or insulin resistance of the brain. Oh, I see what you're saying. Healthy Jenny says, no, I know several who have it. Wonderful. Okay. How about erectile dysfunction? ED. I live in Denver, Colorado. It's hard for me to drive anywhere listening to the radio and not hear a commercial from the men's center helping things out with the ED, right? It is a big problem. Apparently, it's a big problem. How about sarcopenia or high blood pressure? There should be a lot of people that say yes to high blood pressure, right? Me, type me if you have high blood pressure. Or finally, we were talking about type 2 diabetes. Let's get to type 2 diabetes. How many people are listening to me that have type 2 diabetes? Lupe says me. I'm going to throw in some other ones. Lisa from Facebook says me. Joseph says me from TikTok. Okay, I'm going to throw in some other ones, and I'm going to go kind of quick with the other ones because I want to get to the point. Lisa says hubby does. Okay, let's talk about, I'm going to go pretty quick here. So just throw out a me if any of these apply to you. Ramiro says me. Okay, how about pre-diabetes or fibromyalgia or gout or multiple sclerosis? What about bipolar treatment disorder or schizophrenia or overall just mental health? Do you suffer from depression? Do you struggle with mental health? What about diabetic neuropathy? That is pain, tingling, or numbness in the feet, legs, or extremities. Or diabetic retinopathy is a top 3 cause of blindness in the United States. How about amputations? Right outside of a war injury, how about amputations? The number 1 cause for amputations in the United States, diabetes. And of course, 90 to 95% of the diabetes cases are type 2. That's per the Centers for Disease Control. So there is a problem here, guys. All of these things, and there were a lot of people. I'm going to go through and just throw them up here. Me. Lisa says me from Facebook. We got X Spy from TikTok says me. Shrieks Brown says me. My grandma. Okay, guys. So we get the point, right? We get the point. There is a problem with diabetes here in the United States or with insulin resistance. The whole point of that exercise really was to somewhat, in a weird way, take the magnifying glass off of diabetes. This conversation really isn't about diabetes. It's about its root cause, which is insulin resistance. And if you want to see the diabetes go away, start focusing on the root cause, insulin resistance. Kill the root, kill the tree. That's what that image was an image of the root and the root cause. Okay, so this conversation is going to be about that. And if you can promote enough insulin sensitivity, you can reverse enough insulin resistance, not only will your type 2 diabetes become much more manageable, much easier to control, but you will see things. Oh, I didn't throw it out there. How about skin tags? Type the word me if skin tags. Do you have skin tags? Let's throw that one out there because somebody came into here. I forget who it was, but somebody came into here saying me, right? X Spy says, what's the treatment? That's what we're getting to here. Joseph says me, skin tag. How about a darkening or discoloration of the skin around your neck or armpit area, maybe inner thigh area? That is called acanthosis nigricans. Ramiro, me. Lupe says me. How do I get rid of the skin tags? Well, guys, they're caused by insulin resistance just the same. Okay? So if you want to get rid of the skin tags, you want to get rid of the darkening or discoloration of the skin, you want to either reverse or better control your type 2 diabetes, you want to get rid of that heart disease, you want to lower your risk for stroke, you want to reverse erectile dysfunction or polycystic ovarian syndrome or infertility, powerful statement right there, obesity, you want to lose some weight, all of those things are caused by insulin resistance. So if you want those to either go away or get better or improve, address insulin resistance. Now that is the conversation that we have. Okay. And I know I've spent a lot of time kind of winding this wheel up, but really what I want to do, I get asked all the time, well, hey, I'm not diabetic. Does this apply to me? The reason I spend so much time getting to here is because we're not talking about diabetes and we're not talking about obesity and we're not talking about polycystic ovarian syndrome and we're not talking about skin tags. We are talking about the root cause for all of those. Fair enough? Fair enough? Okay, so what did I do to reverse my insulin resistance? By the way, it wasn't just type 2 diabetes that went away from me. I no longer have high cholesterol. I no longer have high blood pressure. I no longer suffer from migraine headaches. I had the depression just the same, the mental health struggles, a lot of those things. And as I started addressing my gut health, everything else got better. That's what it is. We're going to be talking about gut health and reversing that insulin resistance. Okay. So I'm going to talk about a 3-step protocol that I adhere to. These 3 steps in my world are non-negotiable, completely non-negotiable. They're easy. Each one of them by themselves would work wonderfully, but when you put all 3 of them together, they are very, very powerful. Okay. So, with that in mind, you may want to, this sounds so weird for me to say, you may want to grab a pen and paper and take notes. A lot of people do that. They find it helpful. It's something to go back and quick reference. Also, I do live streams every single day. So, you're more than welcome to jump in on tomorrow's live. If you are following me on Facebook, or Instagram, or Twitter or YouTube, this live stream that we're in right now will be on one of those platforms forever and ever. It doesn't go away. Okay. So 3 steps that I adhere to. Step number 1. Are you ready? Step number 1 is intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting. So out of a 24-hour day, I don't eat for 16, and I do eat 2 meals within the remaining 8 hours. The method is called 16 and 8 time-based eating schedules. So I eat around a schedule, time-based eating. Now, you may have heard of 18 and 6. That's 18 hours of fasting and 6-hour eating window, or 20 and 4, or 23 and 1. Another name for 23 and 1 is called OMAD, or 1 meal per day, 1 meal a day. I'm not that, but I do a minimum of 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours. I have an 8-hour window. So for me personally, what this looks like is at 8 p.m., I'm done eating for the day. I don't eat after 8 p.m. I've already had dinner. I'm full. I don't need any more food. Okay. Now, why? I don't. If I were to eat after 8 p.m., it's probably out of habit more than it is out of hunger. Right? I feel I'm bored. It's late at night. I don't have anything else to do. Let me grab a bite to eat. I'm not full. I'm just snacking for some reason. Right? And I don't eat again until noon the following day. So the bulk of my fast is during my sleep. I sleep for 8 hours a day, a night, right? And maybe you're thinking, well, I don't sleep for 8 hours a day. Start doing this and you will. You'll find yourself getting the best sleep of your life. So I time my fasting window around my sleep schedule. So I knock out a big chunk of my fast during my sleep. And then I wake up in the morning and I skip breakfast. That is the level of commitment that I'm talking about, is skipping breakfast. Okay. And at noon, my window of eating reopens and I allow myself 2 meals, no snacks, no snacks. That's the big thing to break away from, is we've been taught to snack. Who do you think taught us how to snack? Big food, right? The food industry, they love you snacking. When you snack, you're spending money with them. They want you snacking. Historically, and I'm talking about through all of mankind, have we snacked, or was that just something that came about with the packaging of potato chips? What up, Tracy from the Facebook? Hi, Tracy. How are you? Okay, now, how many of us have a little bit of extra jiggly around your belly? You got the spare tire, the love handle, something like that. It's getting to be the summer season. We're getting ready to hop into a swimsuit and go out. And personally, there have been years past where I look like a beach whale. I don't want to go out looking like that, right? So how many of us have a few extra pounds that you'd like to use? Now, now you're on TikTok. There you are. How many of you would like to lose a few extra pounds? Have a little bit of this extra fat around the belly area, the midsection. And why is that fat there? That fat is there as an alternative fuel source. It's there for times of famine. Lupe says, 25 pounds I want to lose. Now, Tracy, you are doing this system. This is Tracy by our wife 08. She's doing the exact same protocol. And I know that you've lost some weight, but Tracy, I'm also kind of curious, inches lost. Has your waistline shrunk? Are you noticing a smaller, midsection area? Are you noticing some shrinkages there? Now, what are we talking about here? That's a fuel section, a fuel source. That's added fuel. So in the times of famine, we don't just starve to death. You've got calories stored on your body, right? Think of it just like this. You're just a big refrigerator, big pantry full of food, right? And you're just storing it away for times of famine. Now, how often do we tap into that pantry? Never, because we're taught to snack all day long. Tracy says her clothes are fitting better. We're taught to snack all day long. We eat, we kind of graze, right? Rihanna, skin tags. You joined in the perfect time. We're talking about reversing insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is the root cause of your skin tags. I go through a 3-step protocol on how to reverse insulin resistance. And guess what? The skin tags kind of go away. So you're joining perfect. Okay. So let's talk about using those love handles as a fuel source. So when you wake up in the morning and you skip breakfast, what are you really having for breakfast? Your love handles. If you want to see the fat melt off, start using it for energy. Okay. Now, Dr. Mark Mattson is a neuroscientist out of Johns Hopkins Medical University. He's been studying intermittent fasting for more than 25 years. Brilliant man, very well educated. He's understanding our biology, right? And so what Dr. Mark Mattson says is that at about 12 to 14 hours, somewhere around that time frame, my own bacon, that's funny. He would suggest that at around 12 to 14 hours, we metabolically switch our fuel source from glucose, right, sugar, over to fat. At about 12 to 14 hours, you start using your own fat for energy. And guess what happens after that? So every hour past that, you're in fat burning mode. You don't need to run 17 miles a day. You just need to force your body to tap into an extra fuel source, something you've most likely got an excess of, right? And the way you're doing that is you're taking away its first go-to fuel source, which is sugar. Okay? So we're making our body metabolically switch over to that. So every hour past like 12 or 14 hours is fat burning. So I go for a minimum of 16 hours. Now, how many of us wake up? I'm asking for a little bit of engagement here. I got quite a few people on all these major platforms. We got people on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and a lot of people on TikTok. I need some engagement. Engage with me, okay? How many of us wake up and either right now or used to in our life have done wake up and have a cup of sugary coffee or a slice of starchy bread or a bagel or a banana and some orange juice, right? Or a bowl of cereal, a bowl of oatmeal, bacon and eggs with hash browns, right? Maybe you have toast with sugary jelly. Stacy says hot chocolate, right? Lisa, oh, it's getting too fast for me. Lisa says me. Diane says yes. Michelle, coffee without sugar. That's wonderful. Coffee without sugar is great. Desiree says never. Good for you, Desiree. Most of us can't say that, but good on you. Selena says breakfast first thing, right? Terry says yes, me. Yes, bananas are my go-to, but isn't that natural sugar? It is natural sugar, but guess what? It's still sugar. It's still sugar. Guess what your body does with it? It spikes its glucose. And are you a diabetic, by the way? Reno Cross, are you a diabetic? So a lot of us that are, and I'm not anymore, but for those that are diabetics, what happens to your blood sugar? Okay, Reno, great question then. So you are a diabetic. What happens to your blood sugar when you eat a banana? And now me, when I was full on type 2 diabetic, I would eat a banana and my blood sugar would spike. And I'd be like, why is it doing that? It's not supposed to do that, right? It's a natural sugar. It's a sugar. It's a sugar. It's still going to spike your glucose. Now, what happens when you spike your glucose. You spike your insulin. And remember, hyperinsulinemia, elevated insulin, is what's causing your cells to stop responding to the insulin. Right away, out first thing in the morning, what you've done, whether it's through a cup of sugary coffee, a glass of orange juice, that's an interesting marketing ploy, right? Orange juice, the best thing for you in the morning. How about just having a glass of sugar water, right? First thing in the morning. That's what orange juice is, just straight sugar water. Let's wake up and do that first thing in the morning. What are we really doing? You're spiking your glucose. And when you do that, you are in turn spiking your insulin. Now, if you are insulin resistant, which 88% of Americans are. Where do I get that 88%? By the way, I don't just make up numbers. If you're ever curious where I'm getting my numbers from, let's see. I don't know why I don't have this up and ready, but I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go share. Let's see. This here, just Google. I'm going to type in prevalence of optimal metabolic health. There it is right here. This tab right here. Prevalence of optimal metabolic health in American adults. National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey of 2009 to 2016. What they found was that 12.2% of Americans achieved optimal metabolic health, or 87.8% did not. 88% of us are insulin resistant. So with that in mind, if you are one of that 88%, when you spike insulin, it's going to take like 6 or more hours for it to come down. Your insulin is high, it's pegged, it's going to stay there for quite a while, and 6 hours. And if it 6 hours, do we ever give our body 6 hours between meals? No. We're taught to eat snacks, a healthy snack. In fact, chances are, if you've seen a diabetic or a dietitian and you are a type 2 diabetic, you probably heard something like have a healthy breakfast and then a healthy snack and then a healthy lunch and then a healthy snack and then a healthy dinner, right? You've probably heard that thing. 30 to 60 carbs on your meals, up to 15 carbs on your snacks. I'm asking, we got quite a few people listening to us right now. I'm asking you guys for some participation. Have you heard that right there? Gator Dave says, yep. By the way, Tracy on TikTok says we're at 2,000 likes. Guys, if you think that this is valuable information, if you think that this is information that should be shared, if you think this could benefit somebody, then do me a favor and tap the screen. Tap the screen over and over and over again. That is your way of telling TikTok to put me in front of more people's For You pages. Tap the screen, okay? My personal record was about 100,000 likes. Can you guys get me to 100,000 likes today? In order to do that, you're going to need to just tap away. But Terry says, yep. Mary says, yep. We got a lot of yep, right? We've heard this. Reno says, yes. So what are you doing? What's up, Helena? How are you? How are you? By the way, if you're not giving Helena a follow, you should be. That's a respiratory therapist who's now talking about the exact same protocol that I'm talking about. This is a medical professional who is literally talking about the exact same thing that I'm talking about. So if you'd rather hear it from a medical professional, she's right there. Okay, so with that in mind, what are we then doing if you're snacking all day long? What are you doing to your glucose throughout the day, right? Your glucose is doing this all day long. What is your insulin doing? Your insulin, you spiked it first thing in the morning with that banana, right? You spiked it first thing in the morning with the bowl of cereal, the toast, the bagel. And so your insulin went spiked and it's trying to come down. It takes 6 hours, but nope, there's that snack. It comes down, nope, there's that lunch. And what do we have for lunch? We have bread. We have potato chips, we have soda. We're just pegging it. And we do that all day long. And we keep ourselves in that hyperinsulinemic state from dawn till dusk, right? I mean, is that believable? Type the word believable or relatable if you agree that happens, that it's pretty easy to do. Now, if you do that once in a while, that's not a big deal. But the reality is we're probably doing that not for days, weeks, or months, or even years. We're doing that for decades, right? Selena says believable. Maximilian says it's believable. Reno, relatable, right? We're doing this. We're doing this over and over and over again, and we're doing it for decades. When did you get diagnosed type 2 diabetes? Probably 40s, maybe late 30s. When did you start noticing the symptoms like the skin tags? Early 20s? When did you start putting on the weight? 20s? When did you start getting the headaches? In your teens? You had the symptoms along the way of the problem. You probably just didn't listen, right? You weren't listening to your body. Or you were taking more and more ibuprofen thinking that, hey, this is just kind of part of getting older is I'm going to get these headaches and they're going to last forever and ever and ever, right? That's the way that this thing really works. So we're not listening to our bodies. So when we intermittent fast, what are we doing? We are stripping the food. And if we strip the food, we're stripping the glucose. And if we strip the glucose, what are we doing to the insulin? You're forcing that insulin to come down. Reno says early 30s, but I always had the skin tags. There you go. It's pretty simple to get to, right? You had the symptoms. I want to show you something here real quick. If you guys can see this screen, this is Google. Does insulin resistance, I've already got it right there. Does insulin resistance cause skin tags? While skin tags can appear without any specific cause, they tend to occur more often in people with diabetes and insulin resistance. Boom. You had the symptom long ago. You just didn't listen to your body, right? Or you went to the doctor and said, hey, chop these things off. You chopped them off, and guess what? They came back. Why did they come back? Because you never did anything about the root cause. All you did was just like me with the headaches when I was a kid. I just took more and more and more ibuprofen. Right? When I first started, not a big deal. 1 ibuprofen, wasn't a big deal. When I was done, 4 ibuprofen. Guess what? I started addressing insulin resistance. I have not had a migraine headache in a year and a half. They're gone. Isn't that a wonderful place to be? Wouldn't you love to be there, right? So, who has heard of, let's see, me either. Helena saying me either. I've not had a migraine headache, right? Okay, so who has heard of Joslin Diabetes Center? If you've heard of Joslin Diabetes Center, type I have. And if you haven't, no big deal. I understand. Let me pull this page up here. This is Joslin Diabetes Center, joslin.org. This is the history of Joslin Diabetes Center, the page for the history. Joslin Diabetes Center has been improving the lives of diabetes patients since 1893, 131 years. Think about that. What have we done in the last 131 years? Well, Dr. Elliot Joslin has been working with diabetes since 1893, okay? This guy right here, that is Dr. Joslin. Now, when he graduated med school, you got to understand, diabetes was extremely rare. There was no reason for a doctor to specialize in diabetes. It was so rare. However, when Dr. Joslin graduated med school, he would find out that both his mother and his aunt had diabetes. And for that reason, Dr. Joslin decided to specialize in it. He wanted to help his family. Now, Dr. Joslin would write of the treatment of diabetes mellitus in 1916. And he would say that temporary periods of undernutrition are helpful in the treatment of diabetes, will probably be acknowledged by all after these 2 years of experience with fasting. Now, what was Dr. Joslin saying in this paragraph? This wasn't that big of a deal. All we have to do is stop eating so frequently. And if we'd stop eating so frequently, this problem would kind of go away on its own. But did we listen to Dr. Joslin? No, we didn't. Ducky Love, how are you? It has been a little while. How have you been? Big smile right back at you. In fact, this was written in 1916, 108 years ago. Just a few years after he wrote this, we would discover insulin. And insulin would land in the hands of the global pharmaceutical market. It would land, actually, Eli Lilly. We've heard of Eli Lilly. They sold the patent for insulin to Eli Lilly for $1, $1. And in 2022, it was 1923, they sold the patent for it for $1 to Eli Lilly. Now, in 2022, the global human insulin drug market was $45 billion. You want to talk about a company that made good on that $1 purchase. They went from $1 to $45 billion per year. And now we pay $400 per vial. That's a great way to put it, Ducky Love, right? That's crazy. Pretty good return on your investment. Now, this begs the question, how many of you listening to me right now? I've got 47 on TikTok. We've got quite a few on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch. How many of you that are listening to me right now are quote unquote insulin dependent? As in, the doctor has said that you're type 2 and you need insulin for the rest of your life. My doctor told me that. He said, you're going to be an insulin dependent for the rest of your life. I was type 2. If that is you, then type I am, right? How many of you guys are type 2s on insulin therapy? Ducky, you are type 1. You are type 1. Get it. Good. You're never going to really reverse that. However, Ducky, I don't know if I told you last time you were on my live, people who are doing this exact protocol are seeing major efficiencies, type 1s, in their insulin usage. Type 2, I take 3 different insulins. Maximilian, that's a lot, right? Now, Maximilian and Lita Reed, you're on insulin. X-Spy says, not me yet. Okay, better results that went too fast. Still got to try it out, Ducky. I would love to have this conversation. Okay, so I'm going to play a video for all of the type 2 diabetics who are on insulin therapy, okay? Let me see here. Let's go here. Share this tab. I'm going to say TikTok. Let's go here. I'm going to go my profile. So this is my profile on TikTok. If you're not following me on TikTok, do. If you're not on TikTok at all, consider joining. I put a lot of content on TikTok. If you're on another social media platform, give me a follow there. By the way, quick little plug, at The Real Jim BBQ. That is me on every social media platform. If you're watching me on Facebook right now, you'll notice it's at The Real Jim BBQ and The Healthy Pitmaster. You'll find me on every social media platform by searching for The Healthy Pitmaster or at The Real Jim BBQ. And I put different content to different types of social media. On TikTok, I do the most videos. And I've got this video from a while back, and it is Dr. Ben Bikman. And I guess I should set up who is Dr. Ben Bikman real quick. Let me do that. Who is Dr. Ben Bikman? This is Dr. Ben Bikman. This is his profile on BYU, Brigham Young University's website. He is a professor of cell biology and physiology at BYU. He studies cell biology. His research interests, the focus of my lab, the Laboratory of Obesity and Metabolism, is twofold. First, we aim to identify the molecular mechanisms that explain the increased risk of disease that accompanies weight gain, with particular emphasis on the etiology of insulin resistance and disrupted mitochondrial function. Insulin resistance, okay? Now, if you go and search Dr. Ben Bikman in Google, you will see about 191,000 results with him and insulin resistance. He has a website. It's called insuliniq.com. This is his website, and you'll see Dr. Ben Bikman, professor, author, researcher, and metabolic scientist. If you're struggling with your metabolic health, that's what this guy does. He has a book called Why We Get Sick. I love the book. I always talk about it. This book right here, Why We Get Sick, it will change your life. If you scroll down a little bit further, you'll see that image that I had earlier. I started off this. That's where I got the image from, was Dr. Ben Bikman. The guy is he's the world's leading metabolic scientist, okay? I hope you understand who he is and what his knowledge means to you as far as getting healthy. Now, this is Dr. Ben Bikman himself talking about type 2 diabetics who are taking insulin. So if that is you, Maximilian, and whoever else said yes, this is Dr. Bikman effectively talking to you.
But regardless, because we have a glucose-centric view of the disease, essentially the clinician is saying, well, to heck with your insulin. Who cares if we push it up even higher? They might not even know where it is. All they know is if they push the insulin up even higher, the glucose will in fact come down. And because that's the target, the glucose, they believe they're achieving the optimal outcome. However, it's much more complicated and sinister than that. The more aggressively we're giving a type 2 diabetic insulin to control their glucose, the faster we kill them. They are 3 times more likely to die from heart disease, and twice as likely to die from cancer, and twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. And throughout all of it, they need more and more and more insulin because they're becoming ever more resistant to it.
So, Maximilian. Maximilian, what's up? Dennis, how are you, brother? What's up, Brenda? How are you? Okay, so Lita, Maximilian, anybody else who is type 2 who's on insulin, did that message resonate with you? Did that kind of hit you in the feelers? Ducky, it's just a Band-Aid, really, coming from a type 1 diabetic. That is interesting, right? And Ducky Love, I want to ask a question. Would you consider yourself overweight or generally skinny? Ducky Love, I'm asking you as a type 1 diabetic, would you consider yourself overweight or thin? And of course, everybody's going to have a twisted opinion of themselves. So I'm just asking, would you consider yourself overweight or thin? William, thanks for your help. Hold my weight at 160 from 200 working nights. People still think I'm sick. That's William. How are you, buddy? Ducky's not answering that. Maybe I hit a feeler point there. I'm just curious if Ducky, the reason I was going to ask is generally, if we were to think about the type 1 diabetics that we know, type 1 diabetics probably, did you answer? I don't see the answer. It must have hid the answer. I think it did filter, Ducky. I don't see your answer. Would you just type the word thin or overweight? How about that? I'm curious what the thoughts would be. Overweight, that's interesting. That is very interesting. By and large, most people would say that type 1 diabetics are thin, and most type 2 diabetics, people like myself, are overweight. Oh, Jenna Ward, are you a type 2 diabetic? Jenna Ward, are you a type 2 diabetic? Okay, and Maximilian, Ducky. So Ducky says, I was thin when I was diagnosed, right? So I would argue that you're probably becoming double diabetic, right? You're becoming more and more insulin resistant. Maximilian, overweight, right? So the type 1 diabetics generally are skinny as a rail. Type 2s are overweight, generally, not always, but generally. And what's the difference between the two is the presence of insulin, right? Just finished 12 rounds of chemotherapy, gained 50 pounds, and now they are telling me I have diabetes. La Galatica. I hope the cancer is in remission. Jenna Ward, listen up, right? Ro, thank you. By the way, Guys, if you're not giving row underscore reverse right here a follow, Roe used to have an A1C that was over 14%. Just think about that, over 14%. We don't know what the number was. Her medical record just said greater than 14. In 3 months of doing what we're talking about right now, her A1C went down to 5.9%. 5.9 in 3 months from over 14. That's amazing, right? Okay. After my son, I got thyroid and gained weight after him. Okay, Ducky. So the next thing is not diabetic. It is insulin resistance, which is the root cause for type 2. Never had any problems with this, like Galatica. What if I were to tell you, how about we do this? Let's just go here. Does insulin resistance cause, let's see, cancer? Right away. By the way, 49 million results. Clinical evidence suggests an association between insulin resistance and cancer. Now, there's a lot of howevers, there's this and that, but they're drawing conclusions, right? Guess what your cancer cell loves to feed on is sugar. How about that? In fact, what if we were to say that 7 of the top 10 causes of death in the United States can be caused by insulin resistance or tied to insulin resistance? Is that a powerful statement? So Jenna, Jenna, keep listening. Keep listening, okay? Oh, dang it. I didn't even have my screen shared, did I? Let me go back to the screen that I was just sharing. I didn't realize that I didn't even have my screen shared. I went to Google, does insulin resistance cause cancer? And clinical evidence suggests an association between insulin resistance and cancer. So there it is. Okay. Who's heard? Has too much sugar? Yeah, Letty, absolutely. It's the types of foods that we're eating and the sugar. It's causing a problem. Okay, who's heard of Dr. Jason Fung? Just give me a yes or no if you've heard of Dr. Jason Fung. Dr. Fung is a nephrologist out of Toronto, Canada. Nephrologist. He studies kidneys. That's his jam, right? And he found a relationship between poor kidney health and insulin resistance. He thought that if we could reverse the insulin resistance, that it would have a profound effect on the kidneys. Okay, I told them what you showed us about statins. What did they say about that, Ducky Love? What did they say about that? I bet you that, well, there's clinical implications showing that reduces your risk for heart disease, right? Maybe you had an insulin resistance problem and that led to the cancer, and it just everything kind of fell in line after that. Maybe. Dr. Jason Fung is a nephrologist out of Toronto, Canada. He studies kidneys, and he found a relationship between poor kidney health and insulin resistance. He thought that if he could reverse the insulin resistance, that it would benefit the kidneys, and he was right. And what did Dr. Jason Fung do? Dr. Fung went to the work of Dr. Elliot Jocelyn. Remember this dude? Remember this guy right here? Dr. Elliot Jocelyn? Dr. Jason Fung went to the work of Dr. Elliot Jocelyn from more than a century ago. Strict glucose control and intermittent fasting. Now, what Dr. Fung did was he had his patients start practicing a really strict intermittent fasting schedule. In fact, if you had a really high 1A1C and you were sick for quite a while, he might say, you know what, no food for a week. You don't get to eat any food for the next week. And when you come back and you're able to start eating food again, it's going to be an extremely low carbohydrate, like under 10 or under 20 carbs, right? Low carbs, high fat. Interesting. Low carb, high fat. And And what happened was people started reversing their type 2 diabetes by going to a strict intermittent fasting schedule and a low carb, high fat diet. The very things that, what is that? The very things that Dr. Elliot Jocelyn was talking about. What is that? Somebody giving me a gift? The very things that Dr. Elliot Jocelyn was talking about more than a century ago: strict glucose control and intermittent fasting, low carb, high fat. And I want to kind of build on that. Okay. Low carb and high fat. What are we taught to have today? 11 servings of carbohydrates throughout the day and eat a low fat diet. So we're taught to have a high carb, low fat diet, and we're getting sick rapidly. We're getting sick. High carb, low fat. Now, what Dr. Jason Fung is doing, and it's reversing kidney disease, it's reversing type 2 diabetes. People are dropping weight like crazy. Low carb, high fat, the exact opposite. Maybe, just maybe, we have flipped our bodies. We're trying to force feed our bodies something that they're not really asking for. Maybe we aren't doing what nature intended for us to do. There's a thought, right? Low carb, high fat. That's what he did. Now, the thing is, Dr. Fung has had amazing results. People reversing type 2 diabetes, people reversing PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, people reversing infertility, reversing kidney disease. Let's see. Master Plumber says, what kind of fat? What kind of high fat? This is the part, I mean, this is the part that draws all of the attention, right? Personally, I choose fats, good quality fats, but I also am not afraid of fat from animal-based protein. Dr. Ben Bickman, this guy here, remember Dr. Ben Bickman, professor of cell biology and physiology. Dr. Bickman says that there is no protein better than animal-based protein. The fat to protein ratio is what humans really need. And he said you can't really get that from plants. So he really recommends animal-based protein. I personally go for animal-based protein. However, I also had an avocado at lunch, a whole avocado by itself. I didn't have to mash it up. I just ate an avocado. Wonderful fat in an avocado. So, but higher fat. But what are we taught? We're taught as a society to go for high carbs, low fat, the opposite. Now, Dr. Fung has had amazing results with this. He has not only reversed type 2 diabetes, but, of course, pre-diabetes, but PCOS. He's like a 5-time best-selling author. He's written books like The Obesity Code, The Diabetes Code, The Cancer Code. He's written a lot of books revolving around this topic. One of the books that he's written, and I always show it, it's called, let me get this screen here. One of the books that he talks about is called Life in the Fasting Lane. This book, one of the co-authors, not only had type 2 diabetes, but she also had PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. She had it so bad that she was infertile. Her and her husband had adopted children. They gave up on being able to have children. So she gets with Dr. Fung and not only reverses her type 2 diabetes, but her PCOS and her infertility. Her and her husband have had 2 children now, all naturally. It's absolutely beautiful. What's up, Keith? How are you, brother? I feel like we haven't spoken like a year, buddy. How are you? Keith here is having amazing results. Keith, can I talk a little bit about your story, brother? And I don't even know why I asked. I'm sure you're okay with me sharing it, but for some reason I felt like I'd ask. So now I'm going to wait for an answer. Okay. So guys, step 1 of the protocol is intermittent fasting. Dr. Fung really recommends a keto diet. There's a lot of doctors that are really recommending a keto diet. I'm not keto. I'm not carnivore. I'm not vegetarian. I'm not vegan. I think I definitely have some keto or carnivore tendencies. Like I just had a lunch that was keto. It was bacon and eggs and an avocado. But I also had pizza for dinner last night. So that's a fail if you're trying to be keto. I literally went to my favorite pizza parlor last night and enjoyed my pizza like crazy. So I'm not keto. The step one of the protocol is intermittent fasting, a 16 and 8 time-based eating schedule. So are there any questions about that? Or are you ready for me to move to, right, Jenna, I'm not suggesting a whole week of fasting, okay? I don't do that. I've done extended fasts. I've gone for 3 days. That's not part of the protocol that I'm describing. But some of those extended fasts really are good for you. That would be Dr. Jason Fung, and it works. It works. It takes a lot of willpower, but it works. So I'm not doing that. I've never done a week-long fast. But there are benefits to doing those extended fasts. What I do, great comment there. What I do is time-based eating. So out of a 24, let me just recap this. Out of a 24-hour day, I don't eat for 16, and I do have 2 meals in the remaining hours. So what that looks like for me personally is at 8 p.m., I'm done eating for the day. I don't eat again until noon the following day, and from noon until 8, I allow myself 2 meals. It's that simple, okay? I'm not doing 7-day fasts. I'm not doing anything like that. Jenna, I hope that calmed your nerves if you thought, man, this guy's telling me to not eat for 7 days, right? Helena says, the longest I've done was 31 hours. 26 is my longest. I agree. I need to fast and reset my eating habits. Jenna, there are some amazing benefits to some of those extended fasts. I'm not going to go into much detail with them right here because truthfully, I'm talking about a 3-step protocol that I adhere to reverse my insulin resistance. And those really long extended fasts are not really part of my protocol, though I do them from time to time. But look up autophagy. Autophagy is something that happens at about 24 hours of fasting, and there are some amazing benefits to those types of fasts. In fact, my wife said, there's no way I'm ever skipping lunch and dinner. There's no way. Not going to happen. And just recently, like 2 weeks ago, she did like a 36-hour fast. And at 36 hours, when she broke her fast, she was like, I kind of wish I wouldn't have done it. I actually really enjoyed what I was doing. She felt wonderful at that state in her fast. And you do. It's the weirdest thing to think, like, I can't believe I'm not eating and I feel so good. The latest studies show that a daily fasting leads to a 90%. Jeannie, thank you very much. I want to touch on that. That is a great comment. Okay. There's some stuff to that. Now, I talked about this guy ad nauseum, Dr. Ben Bikman. Okay. Dr. Ben Bikman is one of the world's leading authorities on metabolic. He's one of the world's leading metabolic scientists. Okay. Now, I want to go over to my TikTok channel. No, I don't have this video on anything but my TikTok. So if you want to see the video, you'll have to watch my TikTok. It's at The Real Jim BBQ or The Healthy Pitmaster. Okay. If you find me there, you will find this video right here. Ready?
By now, you have seen undoubtedly the headlines reporting that intermittent fasting will increase your risk of dying from a heart attack by 91%, so almost double. Here is the headline that was issued by the American Heart Association on their media website. What's so important is that you'll notice I'm not sharing a research manuscript. It's because these are unpublished results. None of this is actually a published manuscript at all. This was from a report that was presented at a scientific meeting. In other words, none of this may actually end up getting published once it's gone through a formal peer review process. There could be so many confounding variables here. For example, this was based on data obtained over a 2-day questionnaire. And so they gave people a questionnaire of what did you eat? And they found that people who ate in an 8-hour or less eating window had this higher risk of dying from heart disease compared to people eating in a 12 to 16-hour eating window. And 16 hours is pretty crazy. But what if during those 2 days you happened to capture people who were working a 16-hour day or even more, and it only happened 1 or 2 of those days when this survey was actually conducted. So there are so many confounding variables that just mess up this kind of conclusion. And again, it's all correlational, which is to say it could be nothing more than a coincidence, and it likely is.
Okay. I just think that's a very powerful statement being made by the world's leading metabolic scientist. Okay. So that headline is out there. It's really gotten big over the last 30 days or so. There's a lot of research that revolves around the positive results based on intermittent fasting. And most people right now that are in that world, those metabolic scientists, those holistic doctors, they're looking at that and saying, whoa, what's the angle? Why would somebody come out and say that other than a financial incentive or something? Why? Because it's not true at all. Okay, so with that being said, are there any questions about step 1 of the protocol, which is intermittent fasting, a 16 and 8 time-based eating schedule, or are you ready for me to move on to step 2? If you're ready for me to move on to step 2, there's only a 3-step protocol. If you're ready for me to move on to step 2, then type ready and I'll jump into step 2. Otherwise, feel free to ask questions. I see Tracy's ready for step 2. Renee, thank you for the gift. By the way, guys, what are we at? 13,000 likes. If you think that this information is valuable, if you think that this is the type of information that Facebook should be pushing out to more people's For You pages or Facebook or any of them, if you think that's the case, then please do me a favor and tap the like screen. Just keep tapping the screen. And on TikTok, it's a bunch of hearts. On Facebook, it's a bunch of thumbs up. If you just tap that over and over and over again and get the likes on that particular live stream up, that will tell the algorithm to put this in front of more people. That's how you do your part of putting me in front of more people. If you think this is, I only ask you to do that if you think this is valuable information and you think it should be shared. Okay, our record was 100,000 likes actually about a month ago. Can we get me over 100,000 likes? Okay. We're ready for step 2, but I do have a quick question from Ras Brew PTY. Broopty. Does drinking water through the night affect the fasting? Great question. So a lot of my friends are Muslim and they do Ramadan, and Ramadan is dry fasting. They aren't allowed to have anything during the hours of fast. This is not a dry fast, okay? Water-based products are just fine. Now, I'm not speaking to Ramadan, so if you are doing my protocol in addition to Ramadan, like obviously mine, not that you need my permission to trump, you're not trumping Ramadan, right? But this protocol is not a dry fast. Water-based products are just fine. Coffee, green tea, black tea, that sort of thing is just fine with this protocol's fast. I hope that answers your question. So no sugar though. And if you're gonna do a cream, let's talk about a heavy whipping cream as opposed to something like a skim milk or something like that. A heavy whipping cream and just a small amount, just a splash. Okay. And I guess I should add to that sweeteners, things like stevia, monk fruit would be better than just about anything else out there. Okay. These all natural sweeteners. Okay. And awesome. Glad that was there. That was just here. Tracy, yes, Ramadan just ended. Ramadan just ended. So, in fact, it's really cool. I've got a number of people that I've come across who do, they are of the Muslim faith and they do Ramadan, and they're able to, they were having a hard time fasting before this protocol. And knowing that you've helped somebody complete a spiritual fast is really, really cool. So, how can I fast? I don't know if possible. Yes, you can, Ducky Love. Yes, you can. You know, I want to have a conversation with you outside of here, right? I feel like you could make a massive impact in people's lives as a type 1 diabetic. I want to have a conversation with you. Okay. So, guys, let's move on to step 2. Step number 2 in the protocol is consuming more chlorogenic acid. I want to talk to you about this, but let's talk, because you're type 1, I'm not rushing you aside, but because you're type 1 and you're different than most of the people listening to me, I want to talk about this one on the side. Consuming more chlorogenic acid. Now, what is chlorogenic acid? Chlorogenic acid, I can't, I won't be, okay, so Ducky Love, message me after. I won't be able to. Send me a message and I'm going to respond to that. Okay. First off, I'm on my laptop. I'm not using a typical streaming platform like phone. I'm using a laptop. So I don't have the ability to message you from where I'm at. But anyway, send me a message and I'll respond to it. Okay, so what's up, Maine? Okay, step 2 of the protocol is 18 days on the system, down 10 pounds. Glucose has stabilized. The tea makes fasting easy. Boom. That is awesome. Duck Hunter, who is your sponsor? Who is your sponsor? As in, who did you sign up under? Okay. Chlorogenic acid. Let me get back to this. Step number 2 is chlorogenic acid and consuming more of it. Now, what is chlorogenic acid? Chlorogenic acid is a naturally occurring polyphenol. In fact, it's one of the most common polyphenols on Earth. We find chlorogenic acid. Oh, Yvette. Yvette is a rock star. Yvette's a good friend of mine and a mentor of mine. I listen to just about everything she says. Actually, not just about. I listen to everything she says. Chlorogenic acid is a naturally occurring polyphenol. We find it in certain fruits, certain vegetables, and I say certain, it's not in all, but it's one of the most abundant polyphenols on Earth. We find it in certain fruits, certain vegetables, certain nuts, certain seeds, green tea, black tea, yerba mate tea. I want to really emphasize yerba mate tea and coffee, a green coffee bean. In fact, chlorogenic acid, the most abundant source of it on Earth is a green coffee bean, naturally, is a green coffee bean. So what is chlorogenic acid? How many people? We got almost 50 people on TikTok. We got quite a few people on our other platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. How many people are listening to me that maybe have a weight problem, right? Or have an appetite suppression problem? Just type me. Or blood pressure problem, or a type 2 diabetes problem, maybe a pre-diabetes problem, maybe something along these lines, right? We got quite a few people. Tracy says me. Silly Hun says me. Diane says me. Tanya says I used to. La Galatica says me. Ross says me. Okay. Maximilian, gotcha. Jamila from Facebook says me. How are you, Jamila? Okay. So, what if I was to tell you that chlorogenic acid consumption is an appetite suppressant? It aids in suppressing your appetite. What if I was to tell you that it aids in weight loss, that it lowers blood pressure? What if I was to tell you that chlorogenic acid acts in a similar way to metformin? Ooh, what if I was to tell you that it acts in a similar way to Ozempic or Mounjaro? Again, remember, it is all natural. It is most abundant in green coffee beans. It is abundant in yerba mate tea, in pears, in certain fruits. What if I was to tell you that chlorogenic acid acts in a similar way to Ozempic or Mounjaro? Would you be interested in that? Give me a yes. Oh, Jenna Ward says, what is it, right? We'll get there. Do I have your interest? Just give me a yes or a no. Let's go here. Let's start here. Go to Google and type. Ras says 100% interest. Savage Red Truck says yes. Maximilian, yes. Silly Hun, yes. La Galatica, yes. Okay, I get the point, right? You guys get the point. Yes. We got a lot of people who are interested. Okay. Go to Google and ask Google what foods have chlorogenic acid, and Google will tell you. I mean, there's about 1.8 million results. But this one right here, in addition to coffee, fruits and vegetables, as well as Chinese herbal medicines, are a wide variety of sources of chlorogenic acid. I just said coffee, fruits, vegetables. Now, what do we know about chlorogenic acid? Well, this one right here, this is a study that I found on PubMed. It's on NIH's website. If you're unfamiliar with NIH, this is an official website of the United States government, nih.gov. The effects of chlorogenic acid on blood pressure, a systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized clinical trials. This is a powerhouse research study right here. In conclusion, the evidence from published randomized clinical trials suggests that chlorogenic acid intake causes statistically significant reductions in systolic and diastolic blood pressures. We have proof that chlorogenic acid lowers your blood pressure. This study right here, again, NIH, PubMed, chlorogenic acid improves glucose tolerance, lipid metabolism, inflammation, and microbiota composition in diabetic mice. In the results showed that chlorogenic acid decreased body weight. Remember I said that it aids in weight loss? Well, it decreased body weight and improved glucose tolerance and insulin resistance. So it promotes insulin sensitivity, right? What we want to do. And these effects were similar to those of metformin. Remember when I said it was similar to metformin? These effects were similar to metformin. I want to go back. Where do we get chlorogenic acid? Google says coffee, fruits, vegetables, Chinese herbal medicines, chlorogenic acid. This study right here, this is from PubMed Central, roles of chlorogenic acid on regulating glucose and lipids metabolism. This is a review right here. This is powerful. For example, it is reported that daily consumption of 3 to 4 cups of decaffeinated coffee, 3 to 4 cups of decaf, containing high contents of chlorogenic acid significantly reduced the risk for type 2 diabetes by 30%. 30%. 3 to 4 cups of coffee significantly reduced your risk for type 2 diabetes by 30%. Chlorogenic acid is a novel insulin sensitizer that potentiates insulin action similar to the therapeutic action of metformin. Remember when I said that it acts in a similar way to metformin? Well, now we know that it acts in a similar way to your losartan. It acts in a similar way to, that's your blood pressure medication, right? Or your lisinopril. It acts in a similar way to metformin. It's an appetite suppressant. Let's talk about GLP-1 and Ozempic, okay? I said that it acts in a similar way to Ozempic. This is Dr. Andrew Huberman's profile page on Stanford Medicine's website. This is literally med.stanford.edu. This is Stanford's website. This is Dr. Andrew Huberman's page on it. Dr. Andrew Huberman is an associate professor of neurobiology and, by courtesy of, psychiatry and behavioral sciences. His professional education, he received his bachelor's from the University of Cal Santa Barbara, his master's from the University of Cal Berkeley, his PhD from Cal Davis, and his postdoctorate came from Stanford University. I don't think anybody's going to argue that this guy is brilliant, right? And this is Dr. Andrew Huberman, that guy talking about how yerba mate tea could do something similar to your Ozempic. So listen tight.
Was looking at Gila monsters. The guy down in South America was looking at Gila monsters, those really scary things. And he realized they don't have to eat very often. I wonder if they're hungry all the time or not. Turns out it takes their blood, isolates a peptide, which turns out to be GLP-1, puts it into other animals, and realizes it suppresses appetite. Amazing, right? Like this is what I love about biology. Some dude who studies Gila monsters. Turns out humans make GLP-1. GLP-1 is stimulated by things like yerba mate tea. Certain other compounds, plant compounds, stimulate its release. But what does it do in the hypothalamus? It suppresses hunger by way of, there's a particular brain arcuate pathway, blah, blah, blah. But it also affects the mechanosensors of the gut so that you feel like your gut's full. Like it's almost like you're getting like a pharmacologic tummy, stapled stomach, right? So when people take a drug that mimics GLP-1, their brain is like, well, I'm not as hungry, and their stomach feels full even though it's empty. The guy down in South.
How about that? Did you know that? Is that new? How many people just learned that yerba mate could act in a similar way to Ozempic or Manjaro? And does that make you happy? Just give me happy. Just type the word happy if you're happy with that news. From a brilliant man, by the way. Where to get it? May Reed Joyce. Then I could fast for a week. Then you could fast for a week, right? La Galatica, right? Okay. Okay, guys. I want to show one other item here, and this is, again, Dr. Ben Bickman. And there's going to be a little bit of a repeat from what we just heard.
Okay, a lot of people are into these Ozempic and weight loss drugs. If you're on or considering them, you might want to watch this. I don't know if you follow Dr. Andrew Huberman, but he was just on Joe Rogan, and he was basically saying, why take Ozempic when you can do the same thing naturally with no side effects using yerba mate?
Turns out humans make GLP-1. GLP-1 is stimulated by things like yerba mate tea. Certain other compounds, plant compounds, stimulate its release. But what does it do in the hypothalamus? It suppresses hunger.
This is the highest, most concentrated version of yerba mate I've found on the planet. And one of the top scientists in the world when it comes to insulin resistance did a study on this yerba mate.
That I'll be sharing at a meeting in March in Las Vegas is that this yerba mate supplement called Unimate also increases GLP-1. We found in this experiment we did, the GLP-1 levels went up by about 70% in the fasted states, which is pretty considerable.
This does the same thing.
How about that? That is Dr. Bickman. That's this guy, world's leading metabolic scientist, talking about this supplement right here that increases GLP-1 by up to 70%. That is a massive, massive, massive number. Jamila, thank you. You know your stuff. Love your passion. I love that you're over on the Facebook as well as the TikTok talking about it. Guys, if you're not on the protocol, join. I'm doing it. And honestly, the Pitmaster knows his stuff and so passionate. I thank you. Okay. So increase your chlorogenic acid. Look to all natural things like yerba mate or that tea that I drink, but increase your chlorogenic acid intake. Are we ready for step 3? Does anybody have any questions about step 3 or step 2? If you have questions about step 1 or step 2, go ahead and ask them now. Or if you're ready for step 3, then type the word ready. If you type the word ready, I'll know exactly what you are talking about. Let's see. It got kind of quiet here. Are we still here? We got people. Tracy's ready for step 3. What about Twitch and Facebook? You guys ready? La Galatica ready. Brew Baker is ready. Brew Baker, you were watching this yesterday, right? You were watching the live stream yesterday, correct? Welcome back. If so, Jeannie says, can you use yerba mate capsules? Yeah, why don't you drink the tea? Or do you not like the flavor of regular yerba mate? It is an acquired taste, right? Okay. Jamila is ready. Oh, you were not here, Brubaker. Okay. How many people are listening to me for the first time? If this is your first time listening to me, then type new. If you've been here before, then type been here. And we're going to jump into step 3. Gina, drink the tea. And honestly, this tea right here is an absolute game changer. By the way, it costs about $1.75. It's this tea is pretty dang cheap. It's the one that the world's leading metabolic scientist swears by. He just told you in that last video that it increases GLP-1 production by up to 70%. Okay, new. A lot of people new here. We got some veterans. Helen Booth is new. Christy is new. Does it matter if the tea's hot or cold? No, not at all. La Galatica, not at all. Where to get it? Gina Ward. I will tell you where to get it after the end of step 3. We're getting ready to start step 3 right now of the protocol. So as soon as I'm done with step 3, we'll talk about where to get the products for those that are interested in that. Okay. Is that fair, Gina? And then to go into step 3, we got a lot of people that are new, by the way. If you think, by the way, and only if you think that this is valuable information, I don't want any sympathy taps. If you think this is valuable information, then please tap the screen and get those likes up. Right now, we're at about 16,000 likes. My record was 100 and some thousand. Can you guys get me to 100,000? What that really does is that tells TikTok to put this live stream in front of more people. And if we can get this live stream in front of more people, we can help more people get healthy, okay? And that is 100% the goal. So if that is something that you think, and I only ask this, if you think that this word is worthy of sharing, then please tap the screen and let's put it out in front of as many people as possible, okay? That's how you tell TikTok that. And the same thing on Facebook. Tap the like screen. Let's get that thing up as many times as you can. Okay, and thank you, La Galatica. Tracy is just driving this bus. I appreciate you more than you know, Tracy. Okay, guys, step 3, fiber. Fiber. Increase your fiber. 93% of Americans don't get their recommended daily intake of fiber. That's 95% of men, and 91% of women do not get their recommended daily intake of fiber. That is a huge number. Now, why does fiber matter? Well, fiber helps our bodies naturally regulate its glucose. And if we can naturally regulate our glucose, then of course we can naturally regulate our insulin. And if we can naturally regulate our insulin, well, then we can start to promote insulin sensitivity, which is key. If we can promote insulin sensitivity, we can reverse that insulin resistance, and all of these things get better. We need to naturally regulate our glucose. When we do that, we regulate our insulin, and you're starting to see, hopefully, how many things insulin affects. So to that point, why does fiber naturally help our bodies naturally regulate? Well, there are 2 categories of fiber. There is a soluble fiber and an insoluble fiber. So soluble fiber dissolves in water. Insoluble fiber does not. Now, insoluble fiber, my favorite example of insoluble fiber is quinoa. Quinoa is a whole grain. Maybe you've had it before, but you boil it to tenderness. And it looks like this little brown thing, kind of black. It looks like a black-eyed pea, really, but really, really small. Now, that little thing, when you eat it, it has that shape. When you poop it out the next day, it still has that shape. It didn't change shape. It does not dissolve in water. It goes through your body like a scrub brush. It gets all the stuff out of the nooks and crannies that we're not going to use and allows our body to poop it out. If you have a hard time, I don't want to talk too much about poop, but we might as well. If you're having a problem with loose stools, right? Maybe you're a little bit runny. I don't want to be graphic, but maybe that's the problem. Insoluble fiber will help firm up the stools, okay? Now, and help us get rid of all those things. And of course, the things that we're getting rid of are things that our bodies are not going to absorb. So what happens if you don't have that? You end up absorbing stuff that you don't need. And that's not very efficient, right? So soluble fiber, in contrast, does dissolve in water. Soluble fiber forms this thick, sticky, gelatinous kind of fibrous matrix that lines your gut tract. When you consume something like white bread, and I'm picking on white bread in particular. White bread, there is no fiber in it. Gina, great question. Can you have that with diverticulitis? Gina, are you in an active flare-up with diverticulitis right now? Are you actively in a flare-up with diverticulitis? Yes or no? Because that changes the answer. And here is why I'm asking that question. That's a great question. I'm going to go like this. I don't have it. Boyfriend does. And yes, he is in an active flare-up. Okay, well, then here we go. This is Google. And I'm going to say, does fiber help prevent diverticulitis? A diet for diverticulitis. Fiber softens the stool and helps prevent constipation. It also can help decrease pressure in the colon and help prevent flare-ups of diverticulitis. So it's a double-edged sword, right? So right now, your boyfriend is in an active flare-up. The last thing you want to give your boyfriend is fiber, right? You don't want that at all right now. However, when that flare-up is over, one of the best ways to prevent diverticulitis is an added fiber diet. Adding fiber to his diet will help prevent future flare-ups. So I hope that answers your question, Jenna. Okay, now you are welcome. So welcome. Jenna says, thank you. Awesome. Okay, now soluble fiber forms this thick, sticky, gelatinous type of fibrous goo throughout your gut tract, and it slows down your body's ability to process the carbohydrate. So let's talk about white bread. White bread is a 100 on the glycemic index. 100 is really kind of the highest you can go. It's not actually the highest you can go, but it's pretty dang high. 100 is pretty dang high. Now, what does that mean? That means that your body, when you eat white bread, it converts it to glucose quick. You get a quick high glucose response, a fast spike, basically, right? And if you eat white bread, you would know that, right? You probably notice when you have white bread, your blood sugar spikes fast, right? Quick high glucose spike. Now, that's because there's no fiber in there. When you add fiber to it, it slows down that sugar spike. So if we slow down, we don't get this quick high spike, we get a slow gradual climb. Glucose isn't the problem, right? It's the insulin that's associated. So when you have that quick high spike, what does that do to your insulin? It gives a quick high spike on the insulin. That takes forever to bring back down. What if we have a slow gradual climb? Well, we get a slow gradual climb of the insulin as well. That is key. We are suppressing the insulin. And if we can do that for long enough, we can start to promote insulin sensitivity. And if we can promote enough insulin sensitivity, well, we start to reverse that insulin resistance. And that's when you start to see things like type 2 diabetes either go away or become much more manageable, or your risk for heart disease and stroke drops, your risk for Alzheimer's drops. You start to see things like a reversal of PCOS or erectile dysfunction. You start obesity falls off, all because we've got the proper amount of fiber in our diet. And that's a crazy thing to think about, right? So why are 93% of us not getting the recommended daily intake of fiber? Processed foods, highly processed foods. They don't have the fiber. You've heard stop eating the highly processed foods, right? Just about everybody in today's society has heard avoid the highly processed foods. And in fact, the 3 steps of my protocol, stop eating so frequently, is step 1, intermittent fasting. Step 2 is choose tea over soda. Probably heard, hey, tea is a healthier alternative. Step 3 is avoid the highly processed foods. Eat more fruits and vegetables. Where's a good location for fiber in the grocery store? Is the produce section. Go to the produce section and get a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. When you're at the fruit counter, let's stick to skin on, non-tropical, less sweet. I'm adding in the non-tropical lately. So skin on. We want to consume things where we can eat the skin of the fruit. Apples, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries. We want to avoid skin off tropical fruits. So things like oranges, bananas, and that sort of thing. If you're listening to me as a type 2 diabetic, what happens to you when you have a banana or an orange? It spikes your glucose. Skin off tropical fruits, right? Now I throw in the tropical because an avocado is a skin off fruit. And I think you should eat all of the avocados you can possibly ingest, right? Avocados are wonderful, and that's a skin off. So I'm throwing in the tropical for that purpose alone. Go over to the vegetable section and get a wide variety of vegetables. Get a wide variety of leafy ones, cruciferous ones. In the vegetable section, here's the kicker. We want to stick to above ground, less starchy. Above ground, less starchy. That means get away from the dang potatoes. How many of us have a potato addiction, right? We eat potatoes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, right? There is virtually no fiber in a cooked potato. Stop eating them. They're causing your glucose to spike high and fast, which in turn is causing your insulin to spike high and fast. It's not working. Stop it. Okay. Right. Okay. So now I'm getting the potato people coming at me. Hey, don't hate me. Hate your own body. Your body's the one that's been telling you that. Thought I could only eat berries. Others too much sugar. I love pears. Pears are an excellent source of chlorogenic acid. Step 2, consume more chlorogenic acid. They are an excellent source of chlorogenic acid. I want to throw in one more thing with that. Less sweet. I did say less sweet. If it's a really sweet fruit, let's minimize that. That is going to be higher in concentrated fructose. I hate saying fructose, but concentrated fructose. That's a bit of a problem. So if it's really sweet, minimize it. Okay. Judy says me, love potatoes. Raz, love potatoes, right? Here's a question for you. How many of you choose sweet potatoes over a regular potato because it's the healthier choice? How many of you guys do that? Right? If you eat your sweet potato because it's a better choice, type me. Type the word me because sweet potato is good for us, right? Negative. You're right. I'm right with you, by the way, Raz. I hate sweet potatoes. But I feel like you and I are in the minority here. Judy says no. No, nobody here eats sweet potatoes. Wow. No, nobody chooses the sweet potatoes. Okay. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about sweet potato. Oh, there it is. There's one. I love sweet potatoes. Now here comes the sweet potato people. Here they come. Shots says yes. User 7496 says me. Mark, I prefer sweet potatoes over the white. Here we go. Here's the sweet potato people here. Okay, I'm Irish, only the white potato. Okay, wonderful. I got some sweet potato people out here, and I love that Ras even mentioned the sweet potato fries, right? Because they're healthier than regular French fries, right? That's at least what we're conditioned to think. What I want to do is I want to talk about the glycemic index, okay? This is the Mayo Clinic's website. Oops, let me shrink this down so it's legible, right? Okay, this is the Mayo Clinic, and this is a write-up that they did on the glycemic index. We all trust Mayo Clinic, right? The glycemic index ranks food on a scale from 0 to 100. The low end of the scale has foods that have little effect on blood sugar levels. The high end of the scale has foods with a big effect. So the high end of the scale would be things like, well, don't listen to me. Let's listen to the Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic says high glycemic index foods are things like white rice, white bread, and potatoes. So how many of you guys just type the word me, okay? Just type the word me if you have any of those three regularly. Like every day, you've got one of those three, two of those three, maybe three of those three every single day. Now, an example of foods that are low in the glycemic index are things like green vegetables, most fruits, raw carrots, kidney beans, chickpeas, and lentils, right? I married a cook, right? Cooks like to get their cook on, right? Okay. Baby, let me see here. Let me turn that comment off. Like your live. Oh, thank you, Lois. How are you? I'm married to cook, right? Now now that we know a little bit about the glycemic index, and we want to stay away from foods that are high in the glycemic index, right? Let's come over to here. I Googled what is the glycemic index of sweet potatoes. There we go. For the sweet potato fans out there, poll question. How many of you boil your sweet potatoes? If you boil your sweet potatoes, say yes or no. Let's just go with that. Yes or no. Do you boil your sweet potatoes? Yes or no? For the sweet potato fans out there. So what I'm going to do is scroll down here a little bit. And of course, it talks about what is the low, right? Duck Hunter says no, shots, no. Doesn't look like anybody. Mark says yes. The majority of the people say no. Okay. This is the index of a sweet potato. If you boil a sweet potato, right? For example, when boiled for 30 minutes, sweet potatoes have a GI value of 46. That is low. That is low in the glycemic index. That is wonderful. Boiling a sweet potato for 30 minutes is a great way to have a sweet potato. And they like to point out, but when boiled for just 8 minutes, they have a medium glycemic index. That's not so good. That's 61. That's not so good. It's not horrible, but it is not as good when you boil it for 8 minutes as it is when you boil it for 30 minutes. Okay, so boiling a sweet potato for 30 minutes is absolutely wonderful. Here's the kicker. How many of you roast your sweet potato? If you roast your sweet potato, type yes or no. Yes or no. Yes, you do. No, you don't roast your sweet potatoes. That's the next question, right? And we'll lead into here. Sweet potatoes that have been roasted have a glycemic index value of 82. 82. That's high. That's very high. That is going to spike your glucose high and fast. That is not so good for us. How many of you bake your sweet potato? If you bake it, type yes or no. Raisin Bran is awful. That is awful. How about baked sweet potato? How many of you guys do that? Yes or no? Do you bake your sweet potato? Yes or no? We got a lot of yeses, right? Ready for this one? Baked for 45 minutes is a glycemic index value of 94. 94. That is really high. Remember, the Mayo Clinic said this is a scale of 0 to 100. A baked sweet potato is 94. That's extremely high. And then finally, I see somebody just said they fry it in oil and lard. Somebody earlier said that they choose fried sweet potatoes because we have the perception that that's the healthier solution, right? Fried sweet potatoes. How many of you do fried sweet potatoes? Glycemic index of around 76. That's high. So in this instance, the only way to do your sweet potato, so I say above ground, less starchy, right? I get asked the question all the time, what about sweet potatoes? Well, yeah, do your sweet potato, but boil it for 30 minutes. And there was one person, I think, that said that there was only one person that said that they actually did that, right? Out of all the people that have sweet potatoes, one person said they boiled. Everybody else said they baked, roasted, or fried. Those are all awful for us, guys. And we wonder why we're getting sick. Now, interestingly enough, did you know that you could go to the American Diabetes Association and download a food plan? Who knew? Did you, just yes or no? Tell me yes or no if you knew that the American Diabetes Association had a food plan. Yes or no? Helena, seed oils are horrible for us. Causes inflammation. Yes, right? I married a cook, did not know, right? Baby Lois says yes. 8733 did not know. Okay, here you go. This is the American Diabetes Association website. It is diabetesfoodhub.org. And on there, I found this recipe for a turkey chili stuffed sweet potato. We're just talking about sweet potatoes, so why not go over to the American Diabetes Association and learn how to cook a sweet potato, right? What does that sweet potato look like to you? Is that boiled for 30 minutes or is that baked? The American Diabetes Association. We scroll down just a little ways. Step 1 in the directions. Preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Bake for 60 minutes. Bake it for 60 minutes. Why would the American Diabetes Association suggest we cook something that is so high in the glycemic index? 45 minutes, you got a GI value of 94. Why would the American Diabetes Association suggest that we eat baked foods? Helena? There's a good question, right? More than that, why would the American Heart Association, here's one for you. This goes way back. They need customers, Keith, right? Because they just joined with the Idaho Potato Company. Baca Bites, listen to you. Oh, look at this, guys. This is an article I found on HuffPost. I rarely go to HuffPost, but this is an interesting one, right? This is an article that was written in 2013, December of 2013, to be exact. And this is written by Dr. Barbara Roberts. The title, The American Heart Association Protecting Industry and Not Patients. The American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology recently released new cardiovascular disease prevention guidelines. They are an egregious example of much that is wrong with medicine today. So understand that in 2013, the American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology released new guidelines for heart care, preventative heart care. And in those guidelines, and this is from her words, not mine, the guidelines propose a vast expansion of the use of statins in healthy people. In healthy people, guys. In healthy. Why are we giving statin medications to healthy people? Recommending them for about 44% of men and 22% of healthy women between the ages of 40 and 75. That's crazy, right? Healthy people. In 2013, they decided that that's what they wanted to do. Well, what happened to statin utilization? Like, how many people started taking a statin after those guidelines were pushed out? This study right here, I found it on PubMed Central. It was done in April of last year, so it's relatively new. And it's titled Statin Utilization Trend Expenditures in the U.S. Before and After the Implementation of the 2013 ACC and AHA Guidelines. This looks at what happened to statin utilization after those guidelines. After 2013, the numbers who used statins increased by 149%. From 37 million in 2012 and 13 to 92 million in 2018 and 19. Now, I'm going to ask the question, how many people are listening to me right now that are on a statin? If you are currently taking a statin, something like rosuvastatin or atorvastatin or simvastatin or pravastatin or fluvastatin, Lipitor, Crestor, Zocor, how many of you are, just type I am if you're on one of those. And maybe you remember this book. It's called The Physician's Desk Reference, right? The physician's desk reference. This is that book that was on your doctor's desk for so long, since 1946. This is where your doctor goes to look up information about commonly prescribed medications. Follow me? Things like rosuvastatin, atorvastatin, right? It is now in digital form. So let's go over to Google, and I want you to type in let's just type in physician's desk reference. Type that in, and it will bring up pdr.net. That book is now on a website. PDR, it's the prescriber's digital reference. It's that book on the internet. You have full access to it. What I encourage you to do is look up your medication. Maybe you're on Lipitor. That's the most commonly prescribed statin medication. Generically, it's referred to as atorvastatin calcium. And there it is. You can click on it. If you scroll down, you can hit drug summary. And if you scroll down again, you can find the adverse reactions. Now, of course, there are severe adverse reactions, things like renal failure. Nobody wants that. Pancreatitis, some nasty things. Tendon rupture is always interesting to me. Tendon rupture from a statin. But let's scroll down to moderate adverse reactions, diabetes. You know that your Lipitor has a moderate adverse reaction of diabetes. Maybe you're on Crestor. Let's go look at Crestor. Also known as rosuvastatin calcium. That's the next most commonly prescribed medication for cholesterol lowering. Let's scroll down to adverse. And again, moderate adverse reactions. There it is again, diabetes. If you're just now learning this, would you type just learned? Let's just go with that. Just learned. Did you know that your statin medication has a moderate adverse reaction? Maybe you're on Zocor. That's the brand name for simvastatin. Summary. Let's go down to the adverse reactions. Diabetes. This study right here was just done in September of last year, and it looks at statins and the risk of type 2 diabetes, right? Let's scroll down here. It's down here a ways. They've got it tucked in pretty far. Concluding remarks. In a meta-analysis of 15 observational studies, the risk of incident type 2 diabetes was 55%. 55%. In 4 individual studies, the risk of incident type 2 diabetes was from 36 to 48%. And in the U.S. veteran study, 21 to 22% for low and medium potency statins. That's more than 1 in 5 people. Low and medians like pravastatin and fluvastatin, and 34%, more than 1 in 3 got diabetes when we're talking about high potency like simvastatin, rosuvastatin, atorvastatin. How interesting is that? How interesting is that to you? Another study, this one here, done in July of last year, assessing the link between statins and insulin intolerance. This is a systematic review. They looked at nearly 47 million participants. The findings suggest that the use of statins is associated with a decrease in insulin sensitivity and insulin resistance. This systematic review provides evidence that the use of statins may have an adverse effect on insulin sensitivity and increase insulin resistance. I could get fired up over this, right? I think you can tell I can get fired up over this. Let's listen to Dr. Ben Bickman. You're listening to some Yahoo right now, but let's listen to Dr. Ben Bickman.
Cholesterol is a molecule of life. Despite our general societal fear of it, it is involved in countless processes within every cell of the body. Unfortunately, our fear or hatred of cholesterol has given rise to the use of statins, which is a general class of medication that acts to inhibit the body's ability to create cholesterol. Well, that is a good way, a statin, to lower your cholesterol. There are consequences to this. Here's a manuscript that was just published in the European Journal of Pharmacology, and it outlines the evidence implicating statins as a molecule or a drug that increases the risk of insulin resistance and therefore type 2 diabetes. Ironically, insulin resistance is a greater predictor and risk factor for heart disease than LDL cholesterol is. So tragically, and again, ironically, despite lowering cholesterol levels, by increasing insulin resistance, we may be making the problem even worse.
Okay, so going back to that guy's website, if you are insulin resistant, look at all these other things they can prescribe a medication for. And then going back to that article that I talked about in the very beginning, the guidelines propose a vast expansion of the use of statins in healthy people. Healthy. We are taking healthy people and making them sick. How do you feel about that? How do you feel? That's a pretty easy to connect those dots. Is it believable that an industry that generates $1.607 trillion, the revenue of the worldwide pharmaceutical market from 2001 to 2023, they generate $1.607 trillion last year. Is it believable that they would sell you something that makes you sick, makes you have to buy more of their stuff? And how does that make you feel? Now, I want to talk about, I talked a minute ago about the glycemic index, right? Why doesn't this surprise Jim, right? Jim, why doesn't it surprise? I talked earlier about the glycemic index. In fact, I went to the Mayo Clinic to give you a brief definition of the glycemic index, right? If you go to Google and ask, who is the home of the glycemic index? The International Glycemic Index database and website are led by Professor Jenny Brand-Miller at the University of Sydney, Australia. If you go to Google and ask, what is the top heart hospital in the United States? It will tell you about the Cleveland Clinic. Okay, that is the top heart hospital in the United States. I take a supplement here that was developed by Rexall Pharmacy more than 30 years ago, almost 35 years ago. This has been on the market. Now, this particular fiber supplement has more than a dozen clinical validation studies on it. It's got the backing of the Cleveland Clinic, of Dr. Jenny Brand-Miller from the University of Sydney, Australia. Dr. Ben Bickman, the gentleman I just showed you his video, is the director of the scientific advisory board for this product. It's the same manufacturer as the tea. Now, this fiber supplement, check this out. Check this out. This study right here, fiber and multivitamin combination therapy. This study was performed by the Preventative Cardiology section of the Cleveland Clinic Foundation, November 15 of 2001. If you scroll down just a little bit here, you will find that it improved every major category that they tested against. LDL cholesterol, triglycerides, it improved everything. If you scroll down to the bottom, the Cleveland Clinic said such a product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. Those are statins, aren't they? The Cleveland Clinic, more than 20 years ago, said that this little supplement could reduce the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs, statins. There are no side effects, plant-based, all natural. It's fiber. It's what your body needs. This one right here. Dr. Jenny Brand-Miller, if you go to the University of Sydney, Australia, by the way, glycemicindex.com will take you to the University of Sydney, Australia. If you hit the About page, it will talk about her. She is Professor Jenny Brand-Miller. She is a doctor She's an internationally recognized authority on carbohydrates and the glycemic index with over 250 scientific publications. Now, why do I talk about Dr. Jenny Brand Miller? Because Dr. Jenny Brand Miller studied the same product. She's at the Department of Biochemistry, School of Molecular Bioscience, Bowden Institute of Obesity, Nutrition, and Exercise and Eating, University of Sydney, Australia. Dr. Jenny Brand Miller studied the exact same product and found she tested it against white rice, mashed potato, and white bread. The same things the Mayo Clinic said were high glycemic index. When you drink this before, she said it lowers all three of those glycemic indexes to medium. It also lowers the insulin index to medium. They studied it a second time. This time they gave test patients white bread, and 1 or 2 servings of this, they found that it lowered blood glucose levels by 20 to 28%. Those are massive numbers. And blood insulin levels by 13 to 27%. That is Dr. Jenny Brand Miller's work. So this product has been just Googled, there you go. Found out it's recalled and that you shouldn't take potassium with Gina. Shocking, right? The doctor is the one that gives you medicine to take for your heart, not the drug company. Annie, I don't disagree. So what are you suggesting there, Annie? I don't understand. Yes, the doctor's the one that prescribes it. Who's the one that tells? They've got a constant stream of pharmaceutical sales reps in there coming through their offices all the time. Yeah, this one here. Okay, these 2 products right here are sold as a kit. You get a 30-day supply of these products. The manufacturer gives you a 90-day money-back guarantee. They guarantee you are going to lower your cholesterol. They guarantee you're going to lower your blood pressure, your blood glucose, your A1C. They guarantee it. If you don't, ask for a refund. It's that simple. It costs $159 a month, $159. That's a little over, that's $5.30 per day. You can't get through a Starbucks drive-through for $5. So is investing $5 into your own body worth it? That's my question to you. And if you're interested in how to buy it, let me know. Just type interested and I will know that you want to know how to buy it. I'll go to there. Otherwise, that kind of concludes the live stream. Let's go into a Q&A. What questions do you have for me, if any? Do you have questions about my diet? Do you have questions about the product? Ras says he is, or she, I can't, is that Ras? Is that a he or a she? I can't tell from the picture. Looks like mountains, maybe a lake. I can't really tell the picture. Interested. Okay. I think the easiest way to do this, Ras, is he. Okay. The easiest way to do this is for me to put a little QR code up top. Let's go like this. There we go. Oh, it's an exhaust tip. Okay. I can, the picture is like this big to me. Okay. If you want, you can scan that QR code. You will also find, if you do that, let's see if I can make it a little bigger there. You could take a screenshot of that. I don't know that I need to make it bigger, actually. As I look at it, I don't think I like it bigger. I like it like this. What can that product do for a diabetic? So M-Tembo 2. I was a type 2 diabetic. I have reversed my type 2 diabetes on this. Now, the manufacturer is not going to guarantee anybody reverses type 2 diabetes. However, there are a bunch of people who have. In fact, let me see. How many people are in here right now? Let's see. I know Ro is in here. Tanya is in here. Guys, if you are on the system and you have reversed your type 2 diabetes, would you say I've reversed or I have? Would you just type I have? If you've reversed your type 2 diabetes, would you type I have? I'm curious how many people, I don't know how many of them are actively listening in here, but I've reversed my time. So M. Tembo, I hope that answers your question. I guess my thought would be, do you feel like the current system that you're on, the medication route, chances are you're on a medication route. You're welcome. If you're on a medication route, like you're just taking the pharmaceutical medications, right? Whether you're taking them for statin purposes, whatever it is, do you feel like you're winning or do you feel like you're losing? I'm going to ask everybody that. We got quite a few people we got a lot of different people on a lot of different social media platforms right now. This question goes out to everybody. For everybody that's listening, I married a cook. Okay. I'm going to get to you. If you feel like you are winning on the current route, would you type winning? Or if you feel like you're losing, and M. Tembo already says losing with muscle loss included, right? Isn't that terrifying? Okay. I married a cook. I progressed from type 2 to insulin dependent. I'm going to play a video for you right now. I married a cook. I'm going to play a video for you, and it's Dr. Ben Bickman. Okay, this is my TikTok page. For those of you that are curious, this is my TikTok page. You should definitely be giving me a follow on TikTok. I'm most active on there. But this video for you, I married a cook, this is literally for you.
But regardless, because we have a glucose-centric view of the disease, essentially the clinician is saying, well, to heck with your insulin. Who cares if we push it up even higher? They might not even know where it is. All they know is if they push the insulin up even higher, the glucose will in fact come down. And because that's the target, the glucose, they believe they're achieving the optimal outcome. However, it's much more complicated and sinister than that. The more aggressively we're giving the type 2 diabetic insulin to control their glucose, the faster we kill them. They are 3 times more likely to die from heart disease and twice as likely to die from cancer and twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. And throughout all of it, they need more and more and more insulin because they're becoming ever more resistant to it.
Okay, so that is Ben Bickman talking about insulin therapy, and I hope that resonated. Did that resonate with you? I married a cook. Did that resonate with you? And another video I'd like to play for you is Lindsay Venn. Now, Lindsay Venn is she's amazing. Lindsay is a physician's assistant. She's a certified diabetes educator. She is a dietitian. And this is Lindsay talking about Ozempic. Okay, so this is kind of her talking to you as well.
As you can see, I'm still at work. It's been one of those days, kind of a long day, but I do think it's quite funny. I had at least 4 patients today ask me about Ozempic and what I thought about it. And I'm going to tell you real quickly, it's the same thing I tell everybody. It is not worth doing. Obviously, patient autonomy means something to me, so if a patient insists, we'll go ahead and go that direction. But based on all the research and everything we know, I just think the side effects outweigh the benefits, and again, we just don't know long-term what's going to happen to these people. You do not want to be that person who loses a whole bunch of weight and then gains it back, who becomes a hyperplastic fat storer versus a hypertrophic, and you certainly don't want to lose 30 to 40% of your muscle mass that you've worked so hard to get on. So that's my recommendation. Repeated it multiple times today. Have a good weekend.
I think that's powerful. Losing muscle mass. Did you hear her say that? You're losing muscle mass. Dr. Bickman says you're losing bone mass. That's something you're most likely not going to be able to regain. Now, Big Brat, why are all of these so expensive? Are you talking about the protocol that is Unicity? Is that what you're talking about? Is the protocol that is Unicity? I want to address that head on. This is from the Centers for Disease Control. The Centers for Disease Control, you can type in diabetes fast facts and Centers for Disease Control. Now, the picture, about 38 million people in the United States have diabetes. About 98 million have pre-diabetes. And type 2 diabetes accounts for about 90 to 95%. So that the math is about 34 to 36 million people have a fully reversible type 2 diabetes. 98 million are pre-diabetic, again, fully reversible. About 132 to 134 million people in the US have something that is fully reversible. There are 333 million of us in the last census. So more than 1 in 3 of us have something that is fully reversible. I want to beat that drum a little bit. The cost, this is again from the Centers for Disease Control. Medical cost and lost work and wages for people with diagnosed diabetes totals $413 billion annually. That is a massive, massive number. Now, where did the Centers for Disease Control get that number from? They got it from this little piece of research right here. This was just done in January of this year, just a few months ago, okay? Economic costs of diabetes in the United States in 2022. The total estimated cost of diagnosed diabetes in the United States in 2022 was $412.9 billion, rounded up to 413, including $306.6 billion in direct medical costs and $106.3 billion in indirect costs attributable to diabetes. Now, what does that translate to? On average, people with diabetes incur annual medical expenditures of $19,736, of which approximately $12,022 is attributable to diabetes. So on the low end of that scale, it costs you $1,000 per month to have diabetes, $20,000 a year with your diabetes and all of the other medical expenditures that are associated with it. This is from the Centers for Disease Control. So I ask the question, how expensive is $154 per month? Or $159, I'm sorry, $159. How expensive is $159? Ras Brukti just ordered. Thanks so much for this. Can't wait to see how it goes. Man. Okay, so here's the deal, Ras. Brother, you just ordered. I'm going to be sending you a text personally. It's going to come from my phone directly, okay? As soon as I see that order come through, I will send you a text. In fact, you know what? Give me a second here. Let me see. I'm going to do something. Oh. Are we in Bangladesh? We are not. Let's see. Ras. Is that Justin? Ras, is your first name Justin? Yes. Okay. So here's the deal. I am going to show you how this works. I'm going to send you a text right now. Okay. Justin. I'm going to send you a text literally as we speak right now. Okay. Okay, Justin, paste. We'll get your code in there. I do this for every single person that orders. Okay, paste. Boom. Justin, let me know when you get that text. Let me know when you get that text. Okay. Okay, so bear with me. I'm just plugging it into my phone. Okay, done. I want to go. One more little step for me on my end here. Okay, so Justin, what you just did, you just received a text literally from me, okay? And the reason I bring that up, that's my personal phone. You now have my personal phone number. I sent you there. If you look at that text, there are a bunch of links to some videos. Watch those videos. They're going to help prepare you for this, right? Talk about how long do you have to take it, how to take it, that sort of thing. You're also going to find some links. I added in there your referral link. You just used my referral link, right? And so I get credit for that. If you should start winning on the system and you want to talk about it, have somebody else use your referral link. You will get credit for it. You'll get, every time somebody uses it, you'll get a product discount, okay? So you'll see your link in there. Now you know, just if you tell somebody about it, and maybe you don't know how to tell somebody about it, just say, hey, you know what? My guy Jim does a live stream every single day. Go watch his live stream. If you decide you want to order, use my link. It'll give you a discount, okay? Every single time. That's how this works. They are giving you the discount rather than soaking it into advertising with people who don't actually benefit from the system, okay? So that's how this works. You literally just got my personal phone. I've had that phone number for 15 years. Folks, anybody who uses my link will get that sort of thing. And then in addition to that, Justin, I'm going to be personally reaching out to you here in about a week or so. Make sure that you know how to use the system. Make sure that you're comfortable with it. If you have any questions, between now and then, you've got my phone number. If you have any questions, hey, Jim, what do you eat for lunch? I'll answer that, okay? That's how this works. I want to talk about Cows and Cotton Clothing Company right there. Cows and Cotton. So this is Michelle. Michelle came across my live stream just like you just did in August of last year. And Michelle was almost 400 pounds. This is Michelle today. I want to go and find a picture of her today. Picture right here was 7 months in. If you aren't impressed by that picture, I mean, what the heck? That's 7 months, down 80 plus pounds, 67 inches off of her body. Her husband has lowered, she got her husband on it. She now has her in-laws on it, right? And now, honestly, guys, if you're not giving Cows and Cotton a follow, you should be, because Cows and Cotton, Michelle is now talking about this on TikTok just the same. That's what it is, man. We're using the power of honesty, people between each other talking about how this thing actually works. That's what we're doing. This is truth in advertising. I've reversed my diabetes. I hope you do the same thing. If you do, tell somebody else about it. We're at 50,000 likes. Boom. Thank you, folks. Dad, sister, sister-in-law, friends, strangers, everyone. That's what you're doing. 50,000 likes. Oh, I show 32,000. That's weird. Hubs and I are on our way, right? Okay. Let me go back to this. Is there anybody that wants to order the system but does not know how to? If you want to order the system but don't know how to, type the word help and I'll know exactly what you're talking. If you type the word help, I will know exactly what you are talking about. And in fact, find me on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it now, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, mtembo. Mtembo. Can you take a screenshot of this screen right now? Mtembo, are you able to take a screenshot of this? 8733, best thing I ever did. Love this system. Michelle is my coach. That's awesome. Michelle's a rock star. That's the beauty of this, guys, is I've met some people through this that, okay, you know what? Try and take a picture of it now. I just shrunk that. I didn't realize how big that was. Take another screenshot of this, Mtembo. And there is a link in there. It says Linktree / the Healthy Pitmaster. Or you can just on an iPhone, you should just be able to take a screenshot and then just kind of push that QR code and it'll take you to my website. Is that good for you, M. Timbo? Or the other thing you could do, in every social media platform that I have, there is a link in my bio. In every single social media platform that I have, there's a link in my bio. You can go to that link in my bio and that will take you to the exact same place. Okay. And then you're buying it from the manufacturer. You're not buying it from me. So what I was going to say was I've managed to meet some of the best people on the planet. I know that Michelle's in here. I don't know if Ro is still in here. Love Ro. I see Tanya still in here. Love Tanya. Tracy. Carrie is in here. I met Carrie by way of Michelle. Let me think. Who else? Okay. You know what I'm going to do? By the way, M. Tembo, are you in a good place with this? Are you just give me a thumbs up, a yes or a no. What I'm going to do is I want to go to some testimonials. Do you want to see some testimonials? I want to do some testimonials. And I'm going to start. Come on. I'm going to start right here. Oh, this is Ro. This is an old one. Ro sent me this a long time, about a year, not a year ago, but like 10 months ago. Hello and good evening. I hate to message so late. I wanted to just give you another testimonial. So I actually ate lunch today, and my baseline was after lunch was 18. Then an hour and a half, 90 minutes later, it spiked to 164. Then 30 minutes later, it went down to 123. I'm holding steady at 121 at this very moment. Ro had an A1C in excess of 14 like 2 weeks before she sent me this. 2 weeks before she sent me this. Think about that. Think about that. It's absolutely amazing. Yes, Richard and Lois, I met you guys through here as well. Let's see. This from Michael. I got to tell you, I went to the doctor yesterday and glucose was 121. He used to be 207. I lost 15 pounds. I go back in 90 days to check my A1C. He said that I'm one of the few who actually do something about what I say I'll do. All good signs, and I think I'm going to be okay. I love the finish to that. I think I'm going to be okay. How many people don't feel like they're going to be okay? Josephine, this one's crazy. Hi, Jim. I just received my test result. There is a huge improvement. I saw my doctor today, and I will be continuing this program and will not be taking any medications at this point. How many people are listening to me? Type I am if you, or I would. Type I would. If you would love to hear your doctor say, stop taking your medications. Josephine here said her doctor said you don't have to take your medications anymore. If you would love to have your doctor say that, type I would. You'll notice A1C went from 12.5 to 7.9. Boy, a lot of people already. A lot of people. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone here watching the I would's come up. I married a cook. I would, right? Carrie, I noticed you referred somebody. You'll be seeing a $10 product credit. She went on to say her A1C went from 8.7 to 6.4. That's an amazing reduction. Janice, I met a little over a year ago. Look at that. And this is an old picture. Actually, her new picture is even better looking than that. Janice is a total smoke show now. This is my beautiful bride. She was pretty before, but she doesn't even look like the same. It's like an anti-aging thing. My sister-in-law actually said that I look younger now than I used to. That's me. Let's see. Carmen, I love this. Glucose from 148 to 100, cholesterol from 313 to 153, triglycerides from 342 to 99. A1C is now at 6. So this is Carmel. She was in my live stream earlier. That's pretty awesome, right? You might have seen Rastro Z. That's her. Stella, just saw my doctor and my A1C went from 8.6 things to 6.6. Rochelle, A1C went from 15 to a 9. This is Ro, by the way. Rose says she used to be juicy. Cracks me up. She used to be juicy. Absolutely beautiful, but you can see the difference in her facial structure. I mean, it's amazing. Doesn't even, I mean, still pretty. Always was pretty, but look at the difference in her facial structure. A1C from in excess of 14. Her last A1C, she was a 5.9. Her husband, JD, reversed his type 2 diabetes. I think JD is like a 4.9% A1C or something like that now. Ridiculously low. Was an 8.5, I believe, before he started this. Anyway, lots and lots and lots of testimonials. Is there anybody that wants to order the system but does not know how to? If you want to order the system, but you don't know how to, type the word help. Marlene Sparks Jenke. How do I get rid of the skin tags? Okay, Marlene, this live stream, what's up, Jared? Did you type what's up before I just said JD reversed it, or was that after? Because JD, this is the JD I was just talking about. Reversed his diabetes on this. Okay, Marlene, how do I get rid of the skin tags? You just came in here from the video that's kind of going viral, I'm sure. This live stream revolves around that, and unfortunately, you kind of caught me about 2.5 hours into the live stream. I'm kind of winding it down. I'm getting ready to end this live stream. There are a couple options for you. I do a live stream every single day. I'll be doing one tomorrow morning. Probably around 8:30 or 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. So I don't know where you're at, but if you're on the East Coast, that'd be like 10:30 or 11 in the morning. If you're in the Central, like 9:30 or 10, or if you're Pacific, 7:30 or 8-ish. So around that time frame, I go live every day. You're more than welcome to join me there. Or at the bottom of this, take a screenshot of this. You'll see, give me a follow on those other social media platforms. This live stream that I'm doing right now will be on my Facebook, will be on my Twitter, will be on my YouTube. If you want to go watch this live stream in its entirety, you can go watch it on any one of those platforms. It'll just stay up there. But if you want to interact with me, join me tomorrow, okay? Jared joined me before. What's up, brother? I didn't. So when I switch over to that other screen to show those testimonials, I don't get to see who's talking on this screen. So that's kind of crazy. I was just talking about you. How are you, brother? You're welcome, Marlene. Is there anybody that wants to order the system but does not know how to? And if that is you, then type the word help. Or guys, it got kind of quiet. Ask questions. Do any of you have questions? If you have questions, throw the question out at me. I would love to I'm here to answer questions. I get, and don't be shy. Whatever questions you got, throw it out to me. I'm going to look here to see if anybody else has ordered. What's up, Tracy? Clicking away. You're a rock star. Let's see. I am an open book. I don't really dodge many questions. Let's see. Akaz. Weird. I reversed my type 2 diabetes with full carnivore. That's not weird at all, man. That's not weird at all. Congratulations. There's a lot of people who do that. That's not, I'm assuming you're being sarcastic. Congratulations, man. There's a lot of people who have done that. Kudos. Tip of the hat to you, man. It just goes to show that you can do that, man. You absolutely can do that. It's challenging. Okay. And that's the biggest thing is, you have to have a completely different mindset and dedication to being full on carnivore. I have a lot of my friends who are carnivore. In fact, let me show a picture of one right now. Let's see. This is Michelle Radcliffe, and you can give Michelle a follow on TikTok. Michelle is full carnivore, also on the same system that I'm talking about here. So she's double dipping on it, man, and kicking butt and taking names. She was full type 2 diabetic. She did a video a while ago. In fact, I want to play that video. Let me see if I can find it. It's pretty far back in my videos. Here it is right here. This is Michelle. I think this video, it's one of the best videos, I think, on TikTok regarding people's stories of getting sick and then getting healthy. Okay, listen to this video and just tell me if you don't think this is powerful.
All of my life I had struggled with weight and had went on different diets, and things would work, but the weight would always come back. Nothing really ever clicked until my doctor told me that I had diabetes. And when she did, my whole entire world completely changed. I decided that I had to become a better me. I had to become a healthier me. Not just for myself, but for all of these people in the pictures that you see. So what did I do? I lost 70 pounds and I've reversed my diabetes. Now, if you want to get to become a healthier you, get in touch with me or get in touch with the person that shared this video with you and let us help you because you deserve it.
Isn't that incredible? I'm so fortunate to have met. That's just one of the people. I think you wanted to see this. You can give her a follow, Michelle Radcliffe 09. I mentioned earlier that, you know, because of this system, I've been able to meet some of the coolest people on the planet. Wow, that's huge. I've been able to meet some of the coolest people on the planet. In fact, I wandered the streets of Tokyo with Michelle. We had ramen in Tokyo together. Super cool. Anyway, it's not weird at all to reverse your diabetes by going carnivore. You strip the glucose. You're getting rid of all the glucose. You're not eating anything, no carbohydrates, no glucose, no insulin. You're keeping that insulin really, really suppressed all day long. Well, if you're insulin resistant, it makes perfect sense. And if insulin is a store of fat and you're not eating anything that causes an insulin response, then of course it makes perfect sense that you would lose weight. It's the weirdest thing to think about, that you can eat high fat foods and have crystal clean arteries and lose weight and reverse diabetes and live the healthiest you've ever lived by going high fat, high protein diet and no carbohydrates whatsoever, right? It works. What I would argue is that it is incredibly challenging and it takes a mental fortitude that most people either don't have or don't want. I had a carnivore style, actually I had a keto style lunch because I had an avocado. An avocado would not be in your carnivore repertoire, right? So keto, I had a bacon and eggs. I had 6 pieces of bacon and 5 eggs scrambled, and then an avocado for lunch. That was my lunch. And I do that pretty regularly. That is a good meal. Last night for dinner, I had pizza, and I had a lot of pizza. It was such good pizza. As a carnivore, you never get to enjoy pizza again. And that's the part that I think people struggle with, right? So if you have the ability to go carnivore, it works. It makes perfect sense. I'll have carnivore tendencies or keto tendencies, but I am not strict carnivore because I do love pizza. I don't have it very often. In fact, I think that was the first time in 6 weeks that I've had pizza. So it's not like I do it very often, but that is something that as a carnivore, you just have to say, no, never again. And I'm not prepared to do that yet. And I say yet, maybe there's a day in my life that I have to, but right now I have reversed my diabetes and I still get to enjoy things like that. And my carnivore friend, Michelle, you heard me say, her and I were wandering the streets of Tokyo together. We went and found the most delicious bowl of ramen that Michelle wouldn't typically be able to eat either. She kind of broke her own rules and splurged a little bit in Tokyo. Love it. Cassidy, let's see. What's the cause? Cassidy says, I'm assuming it's the skin tags you're asking about. It's insulin resistance. Stop being insulin resistant. It's okay to eat steak and veggies a lot. Yes. Yes. I'm more scared of dying than eating past loves. I don't disagree with that, man. I don't disagree with that. Here's the deal. So am I. I'm a father of 4, married husband of, we just celebrated 25 years last year. I know I look like I'm 29 years old, but I've actually been married for almost 26 years now. Hard to believe, but yeah, I'm actually almost 50 years old. I'm not afraid of dying per se. There's a couple things in life that are guaranteed, right? Death and taxes. So it's going to happen. I'm not afraid of that. I've got a 9-year-old son, a 16-year-old daughter, a 23-year-old, and a 29-year-old. I'm not ready to abandon them or my wife yet. So I had to make a change. I've made a change. I'm living my best life right now, and I'm still enjoying things like pizza. So AKKAAZZ. If the idea of being able to broaden the horizons a little bit is interesting, then get with me, and we can talk about maybe opening that food envelope up just a little bit. Told the doctor I would not stop taking balance as long as all of this has changed my life to heal. Right, Lois? Absolutely. Teeks over on Twitch, how are you? How are you? Welcome to my live stream. Was I on the Food Network? I was not on the Food Network. There was a brief glimpse on Destination America, I think it was. A TV show called Barbecue Pit. Wasn't Pit Masters. Pit. It was another spinoff from the Pit Masters one. I live in Colorado. I was competing in a tournament here. The production company was doing the majority of their filming in the South. And rather than travel there to do all the pre-entry things, right? The entry to the television, they shot that here in Colorado. And so there was a thing of me working on my pit. So yeah, you might have seen me there, but I doubt it. You probably seen my pit long before you've seen me. My pit is way more famous than I am. Let's see. I enjoy some of the things I love with this protocol, and it's fabulous, right? Hey, Miss Lady. Lance is the only celebrity. Yes, he is. Teeks, it is wonderful, man. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm loving life. I know I watched you. I love cooking shows. I don't know about that. How do you get rid of the skin tags? Reverse your insulin resistance. Okay, so real quick question. I got to wrap this live stream up here in the next couple of minutes. How many people are just now joining me because you saw the video that's talking about skin tags and the darkening or discoloration? If that is you, just type the word video in the comment section, okay? And I'm going to address all of you in one big swoop. Also, at the same time, is there anybody who wants to order the product but does not know how to, and you want to order the system but you don't know how to? If that is you, then type the word help. Numbers are better with better eating and the program, right, David? That's what it's all about, right? I've always tried to preach that, brother. Found me on YouTube. Right on, Vicky. Okay, so I don't know how to say this. Exajade. I'm sure I screwed that one up. Adelita, the video. Okay, so here's the deal. Those skin tags. Maybe you have the darkening or discoloration of the skin around your neck or your armpit areas. Maybe you've got that darkening or discoloration on your inner thighs or on your face, maybe behind your eyes. Okay, that darkening or discoloration is called acanthosis nigricans. That, as well as skin tags, are both caused by a condition called insulin resistance. Now, I'm not going to go too much into the weeds here, but this image right here shows all of the other things associated with insulin resistance. So you have skin tags and you have acanthosis nigricans. Those are a symptom of insulin resistance. Well, if you are insulin resistant, you are more susceptible to all of these things: heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, Alzheimer's disease, high blood pressure, dementia. Nobody wants that. So if you have those skin tags, if you have the darkening or discoloration of the skin, it's an indicator that you've got a problem and you should do something about it. Now, this live stream really addresses insulin resistance and how I have reversed mine. Now, one of the other symptoms of insulin resistance was type 2 diabetes. I have totally reversed my type 2 diabetes. I also had skin tags. I don't have them anymore. They're gone. They fell off on their own. And they did that because I reversed my insulin resistance. So here's the deal. I do a live stream every single day. Every single day. It's usually at 8:30 to 9 o'clock in the morning Mountain Standard Time. So that would be like 10:30 to 11 o'clock Eastern, or 7:30 to 9 o'clock Pacific. Somewhere in that time frame, I go live every single day. Join me tomorrow, same time, same place, and I go through the whole protocol. If you are wanting an answer right now, you can find me on my other social media platforms, namely Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You can find it right here. This little image right here, it says, find me on those. If you find me on those, on Facebook, Twitter, X. It's not Twitter anymore. It's X, right? Facebook, X, or YouTube. This live stream that I'm currently doing will stay up on those. You can watch this live stream in its entirety. I won't be interacting with you, obviously, but you can come back tomorrow and interact with me. Okay? So, just recently went vegan, so it may go away on its own, but just notice 2 small bumps, which may be the tags. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm not vegan. I'm a competitive barbecue cook, as I was just talking about. I don't know how to be vegan. Certainly don't, but I'm also not carnivore, as that other gentleman was saying earlier. I'm not carnivore. I enjoy my food. It's a sustainable thing because I enjoy my food. I'm not on a diet. I definitely have a lifestyle change, and I definitely watch the foods that I eat. But I'm not vegan. I'm not carnivore. I'm not keto, and I'm not vegetarian. I'm none of the above. The closest thing you might say that I was is Mediterranean diet, but even that is questionable. So I hope that kind of gave you your Texan. Barbecue is in my blood. My barbecue pit was built in a small town called Burleson, Texas. Maybe you've heard of Burleson. In 4 months, A1C went from 5.6 down to 5.0, and LDL from 157 to 125. David. Hey, can I call you, David? I've got a meeting that starts in about 12 minutes. Can I call you after that meeting? It's an hour-long meeting. You going to be up for a little while? David Sloan? Okay, what questions do we have, if any? What's up, Cindy? How are you? See you tomorrow, Jade. I'm just going to call you Jade. See you tomorrow, Jade. David, I'll give you a call when that meeting's over. It's about an hour, so it starts in about 12 minutes. It'll go for an hour. I'll give you a call after that. But I've been wanting to talk to you for a little while. Okay. RZ Teacher for Health. Here's another guy losing amazing weight, reversing his insulin resistance. If you're not giving RZ Teacher for Better Health, his name is Gary. If you're not giving the teacher a follow, you should be. What better way to spread the word than through that of a teacher, somebody who educates? Give him a follow. He's doing amazing work, saving lives himself. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. It's the system. Do it. Real quick, before I go any further, as I wrap this up, is there anybody that wants to buy the system but does not know how to? And if that is you, then type the word help in the comment section, and I will drop everything and help you out. Now, if you're on Twitter, or I'm sorry, X, I can't see your comments. They don't come through this platform. So if you're typing away and I'm not responding, I'm not trying to be rude. Twitter does not integrate with this software platform just yet. Okay, user 2709, I see you. Okay, so this is going to apply to you as well as the followers that are listening on Twitter right now. This thing right above me, can you take a screenshot right now? Can everybody take a screenshot right now? I want you to take a screenshot of that QR code. And let me know when you've done that. Let me know when you've actually got that QR code out of you've got this thing screenshotted. Just type done. Type done. Got quiet on me. The other thing you could do is write down that link right there. Link tree / the Healthy Pitmaster. You could write down that link exactly as it's written. Do a screenshot. I think that's the easiest way. The other thing you can do, and I don't care which platform you're on, whether you're on TikTok or Twitter, there is a link in my bio. Navigate out to the homepage on whichever social media platform you're on right now. Navigate out to the homepage and you will see a link. And in that link, you can click that. That's the same exact link, okay? But I think the easiest way is to take a screenshot of this, take a screenshot, and then there's the QR code. There's the link to the buy or to the how to buy it right there. 2709, or does anybody else need help? You want to buy the product, you don't know how to, type the word help. Are we in a good way? What happened? I'm not sure. I've been here. Did I go? Did the live feed pause? 50,000. That is so weird. I've got it at 33,000. Let me open it back up. Your screen says 50,000. Let me see. I've got 33,000. Mine says 33. What does Cows and Cotton say? Okay, so is there anybody that wants to buy the product, does not know how to? If that is you, then type the word help. And actually, I'm going to have to wrap this up. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I think everybody's good to go. Guys, I'll do a live stream. Join my live stream tomorrow. If you are shy, you don't want to put a comment out here for the World Wide Web to see your business, send me a message, okay? Send me a message. I respond to everything, okay? You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.